Damn it, I've muted myself. Hello, everyone! Blue Star Saber here once again to discuss a Boruto chapter. But I'm not by myself this time. I've got some, returning guests and a very new one. Lads, you may all know Chatte Georgina from the Narasaku podcast days and sometimes Lucky Chi. Say hello, Chatte.
Mm-hmm.
Chat, you there? Okay. This is awkward. Okay. Might as well get on.
Wait, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Chat.
Yeah, well, 2020 problems. My microphone, I think, was on mute or something. But anyway, hi everyone. Again.
Hello. And anyway, who's this new guest you're asking, people? Well, it's none other than the one, the only, Retrospective Greg, for all who may know him for the rise and fall of the Naruto YouTube series.
Yeah, I don't know how that became my thing, but it just did.
Well, I guess more and more people are beginning to realize just how bad Naruto's ending was.
Well, I pointed out things I liked. Like, I liked when the first Hokage and Madara were talking to each other. Like, at the end, I thought that was a good moment.
Mm-hmm. But yeah. But I guess that's one of the... I guess it's just that... the video in which you give the most criticism always tends to be the most popular, but hey. Anyway, we're not here to talk about, your amazing, series of Rise and Fall of Naruto. We have two things to discuss on top of it.
I'm doing it with Bleach now as well.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. He's currently got two videos out so far, people. First about the Substitute Soul Reaper arc and the Soul Society, followed by the Oranka arc. Next up should be the Fullbring, if I recall. Anyway, the two things we're discussing today is Boruto Chapter 52, also called Brian Mode. And also the return of the original mangaka and writer and artist for the Naruto/Boruto franchise, Kishimoto.
Well, yeah, I remember. What was the reaction from the Japanese fan base when they announced he was coming back? Stop playing with that.
My understanding, it was rather mixed, or very not that positive, but we'll get on to that because that's going to be later in the discussion. But yes, he is replacing the previous writer, Ukuyo Kodachi. I don't know.
Kodachi.
So why was he replaced again? I don't know anything about that.
We'll get into that, but before that, we'll discuss the Boruto chapter first. But yeah, let's see. I'm just going to share my screen. Let's see. We'll be discussing these two topics today. Let's see, the Boruto chapter, and of course Kishimoto's thing following it. But yeah. But anyway, let's probably start before that. You guys gotta check my list because I ended up laying down how we're going to discuss this thing in the private chat. Let's see, the first with introductions, then talk about what we're discussing today's stream, and let's see. Briefly talking about the last time I did the Boruto stream. Granted, this would have been good if Lucky Chi was here, but he's been delayed due to some family errands, and For Life is once again late for a podcast. Typical For Life. But anyway, when the last time I did the Boruto stream, it was Chapter 4, which was a few months back, and I'm not sure of it. I don't think you've read it, Greg, but I think Chat has at least heard about it. It's when it revealed that a character that's a member of the organization that's bad guys here, called Kara, one of its members, who was disguised in a mask, called Kajin Koshin, was revealed to be a clone of Jiraiya.
Yeah, that lame move.
Yeah.
One thing I'm trying to figure out is how was I don't know much, but how was Jiraiya cloned? Like, what did they do?
I am curious about that, since apparently Kabuto never managed to resurrect. Let's see, be able to resurrect Jiraiya in the Fourth Great Ninja Wars because his body was too deep into the ocean to ever retrieve it. And the only way he could have retrieved it is from the bloodstain. Revive him is from the bloodstains from like the poles that Pain used to kill him. But Toby, or let's see, refused to give it.
But hey, what's that logic?
Well, one thing I'm trying to figure out is, the reason for that was because he basically, he fought Jiraiya's death was spectacular, and he didn't want to ruin it by bringing him back, which was a good decision he made.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's why I find this attempt in Boruto to just bring him back a really, really bad move.
Honestly, if he was going to do anything related to Jiraiya, you should have just done Evil Son or something. But hey.
Considering his character, it wouldn't be too illogical to assume that he has a kid out there somewhere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's probably the way they should have done it. But hey, we're stuck in the mess it is. Anyway, apparently were trying to kill the leader of Car because the scientist guy and him defected from it, but he's having this battle. Me and Lucky Chi predicted that he would die the following chapter. Turns out he's still alive, and I have no idea what they're going to do with him now. But hey, I guess we'll find out after this, current chapter fight. But anyway, as a result, let's see, the leader of of Kara, Ishin, I can't remember the name, but the met clan member that was apparently arrived and was Kaguya's partner, is now heading off to find Kawaki, the sort of Sasuke of Boruto. It's the best way I can describe it. I'm not sure if you've heard of Kawaki, Greg.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I don't know much about him. I know he basically, the Boruto manga opens with him destroying Konoha or something like that. Again, implication that Naruto's dead, which looks like they're about to finally get into why Naruto's dead.
Yeah, from the looks of things, but yeah. Anyway, moving on to that.
Here's the thing. I'm not expecting Naruto to stay dead. I really don't think it's gonna.
Fair enough, but anyway, we'll get more to that later. But anyway, so he's heading to the Leaf Village to try and find Kawaki because he needs to place his Karma seal or something, I believe it was, in order to make him his next host, which takes over, which is also what happened to Boruto after he killed the Otsutsuki from like the Boruto movie. But hey, anyway, Naruto and Sasuke and Boruto have been battling out on the outskirts of the village. So eventually, Naruto decides that he needs to try and kill him here and now, and Kurama says, "Let's see, I have this new power-up form. Let's see that not even Naruto has heard about, and so that he can use it to defeat him, but it will cost him his life. Naruto, willing to risk his life, is about to kill him, and now we're about to see this new, form, which is
Baryon mode.
Baryon mode. Let's see. I'm just getting the image up. As you can see from here, let's see. There's some sort of way the colored front page is. It's got apparently his, Nine Tails eye marks are more looking like the fox's just general eyes with like the bits here coming up to the ear, like the ears, with like a sort of orange cloak thing where it's turned into the 9 tails that each thing has here. Out of curiosity, what do you think of this mode? What's this? This design here.
It's design, I don't know, it's not something. It's just, I mean, for me, it's just some new flashy thing, I guess. It's not necessarily something wow, like we kind of saw all these mixes of forms and modes and stuff that this one is not necessarily personally for me. So wow. But
Well,
it's just an extension of the old mode.
what do you think of this design, Greg?
Let me see. It looks really dumb. I just remember laughing. I was like, wait a second. This is let me look it up. It's like it looks like just the way the the marking around the eye that goes up to his hair. I'm like really kind of overdoing it.
Yeah, fair enough. I thought that was like the only thing in the design I found interesting. Let's see, I found the two tails at the top to be a bit out of place. I feel like it would be more fitting if all the tails were at the bottom, but hey. But to be honest, it's just it's just an unoriginal. New Kurama mode thing. But granted, after this, it makes me really wish that Kishimoto never went with the Chakra Super Saiyan modes and just. If he wanted to give Naruto a new cloak, he should have just given him some sort of Sage or Fourth Hokage like cloak for the war instead of just going back and forth between his Part 2 outfit and his Super Saiyan modes.
Well, I gotta be honest, I really don't have much to say about the chapter because it's mostly just fighting.
Yeah, so we'll probably make it go by quickly, but yeah. So I'm just going to go into a brief summary, hopefully. Let's see, Naruto's chakra has apparently gone up to tremendous speed.
And that one is, sorry, I just have to interfere because I found this chapter such a big BS, to say it lightly. Because they already had in the war a super strong thingy, whatever. And this thing with Sasuke not being able to follow this new Naruto mode. Well, let's go a bit back in time. Remember when Sasuke fought Killer B? Not Killer B, sorry. His brother A.
Itachi?
No. His brother A. B.
Oh, A, the Red
Yeah.
Kage.
The Raikage, right. So basically, Sasuke couldn't keep up with the Raikage because he was so fast.
Oh, yeah.
Remember?
Yeah, he was the fastest man alive.
And Sasuke couldn't keep up with his Sharingan. That's why he just activates Susanoo, because that was his way to, in case of any attack that he cannot follow, to be protected by it. Remember?
Oh, yeah, I remember that fight.
Well, then what happens? A meets with Naruto and B along with Tsunade. They have that talk about Naruto's two sons, his mom and dad, and everything, and blah blah blah.
Yeah, I'm still wondering how the Raikage knew that Naruto was the son of the fourth, while most of the village doesn't. But hey, never mind.
Whatever. We're not gonna. Yeah. So then what does he do? He tests Naruto at his full maximum speed, and Naruto blitzes him. Which means, by default, Sasuke couldn't follow Naruto's new mode back in the original series. This is just a new way to try and make things more interesting, when if you use a little bit your brain, you'd see that it's an already done thing. It's nothing new. It's just a new flashy cloak that gives you the impression that it might be. But if you think about the mechanics of it, it's the same old thing. Even pointless, if you think about it. Because we already had that in the original series with his Kurama mode.
Fair enough. Anyway, the Ninetales Kurama goes on to explain that this form is like nuclear fusion. It's a similar principle how the sun produces energy. So we now have nuclear energy in the world of Naruto. But granted, Naruto has no idea what the heck is nuclear fusion. of course he didn't. Oh, I just got a message from Lucky Cheese saying he'll be here in 25 minutes. So by then we'll probably have one of our two missing guests. Anyway, but yes. So Naruto, we now have nuclear fission. Let's see, fusion in the world of Naruto, which I find a bit weird because I thought the tailed beasts were supposed to be the inverse version of the nuclear bombs. But oh well. Anyway, apparently the difference is that the other modes involve taking chakra that you acquire from elsewhere and just using it a bit. But apparently, the raw materials to create this energy is his chakra, and Naruto's chakra gets consumed until one or both of their lives run out, which is more likely to be Naruto's, but hey, because the Nine-Tails should clearly have more chakra than him. See, telling Naruto to not make any, any superfluous moves or just bad decisions, as this Brian mode, which sounds ridiculous. So apparently, this is named after Bryons, a heavy subatomic particle that is composed of 3 quarks. The most common examples are protons and neutrons. So apparently, it's named after actual, subatomic particles.
Yeah, but they never really. That's the thing, you know. They're just giving this manga new out of lore, so to speak, techniques, because in Naruto there was never about that kind of energy, but the body energy, you know, the body and the mind energy, and suddenly we just, I don't know, went to super technological shit.
Oh yeah,
in my opinion, at least.
Naruto is probably best when it has limited amounts of technology and focuses more on the fantasy and spirituality of its world. But yeah,
Yeah, that's how it started. It started very spiritual and, you know, all about different kinds of themes, and now we just went totally outside of it.
As far as I can tell, the most sci-fi that Naruto ever got was either one of the 6 paths of pain being a sort of puppet-like robot or cyborg thing, and Orochimaru with some of his experiments. But that's about it, which seems at least plausible, at least for that time. But yeah. Anyway, Naruto begins to attack, and he's able to actually land a hit on the Akatsuki. Let's see. Of clashes. Let's see. It's revealed that the more times he gets hit, he starts also losing his life due to the fact that for every hit, he's also getting sort of a nuclear reaction. Meanwhile, Karaki and the Kara Defector are just talking about the prosthetic arm that he's currently holding that belongs to Naruto, and he senses that the chakra is dwindling. As we discussed earlier, this drains his life force. But at the same time, so is the guy, and he only has a few minutes left to plant his Kara seal. So Kawaki. So it's more of a battle of who runs out of chakra first, in a sense. Just as Naruto's about to win. The Atsuki gets the upper hand and manages to teleport Kawaki to the battlefield, and he's now about to head over. Boruto seems to be activating.
Sorry about that. I just couldn't help it because as you were reading it, I realized something.
What?
How did he? Oh, it was the prosthetic arm thing, wasn't it? That's why he was able to. Oh, okay. So.
Yeah, I believe it's a prosthetic arm Naruto used in a sparring match against his son in one of the previous arcs, I believe. Yeah, I think the arc before it, the AO arc, in which somehow the Mist Ninja that was in the Allied Shinobi Forces HQs ends up surviving and becomes a member of Kara before redeeming himself, and then gets killed by the Jiraiya clone. But hey, it's complicated.
Yeah.
But yeah. let's see, Boruto appears to be activating the Byakugan, though from the way it's implied, it seems to be Yatsuki clan member from the Boruto movie that's awakening or something, so what's happening after that, I do not know, but let's...
Well, basically the chapter just ends.
Yeah. So anyway, we've talked about Naruto's new form and abilities. And as we've probably just stated, we do not like him. Let's see. Now, anyway, let's see. So anyway, this chapter seems to imply that Naruto will be dying soon. Do we think Naruto will die next chapter or in some of the other chapters? Who wants to give their thoughts first?
Greg, do you want to go, or should I go, or?
Yeah, give your thoughts.
Yeah. How should I say this? I've said it before. I don't think they're gonna kill Naruto. Or as Greg said earlier before we got in the stream, he's not gonna die for good. What I think they're gonna do, I wrote this on one of on the Norsak forums. The story starts with Kawaki telling Boruto he's gonna send him where he sent the 7th Hokage, right? So basically, Kawaki sends him somewhere, but it's not necessarily dead, you know. So what I think they're trying to do is just suspend Naruto in sorry, in some sort of dimension or something, somewhere where he just looks like he's dead. So they give Boruto some sort of relevance, you know, to try to emotionally connect the character with its audience, because as of it is now, in its majority, I mean, we saw the manga is not doing very well, you know, because it's boring, really. It doesn't, it retcons everything Naruto was, it changes plots, it changes mechanics, it's a mess. So I think they're trying to, you know, recreate the emotional bond the audience, the previous audience, had with Naruto, by giving finally Boruto something to strive for, you know, or regret, because I don't know, he thought his dad was lame and whatever, but he wasn't, and God knows what. We'll see the emotional connection they're trying to do. But at the same time, they're not going to make it very clear, because they want to feed the audience with a little bit of hope, and that's kind of the hook, you know, to keep the audience also connected to the story. So in this way, it's kind of Schrodinger's cat. It is and it isn't. So it's keeping you there, connected, to see if it is or it isn't. That's what I think they're trying to do with this whole Naruto death thing.
Fair enough.
Though if they kill him, I mean, like, I'm whatever. I don't feel anything anymore for this character. It's not Naruto I grew up with, so from my side.
You always imagine that if the main character from a series dies, you feel like you'd care for it, but at this point, you don't care or you get super pissed off. Just like how Star Wars fans were pissed off with how Luke Skywalker died in The Last Jedi.
Oh yeah, that whole thing. If anything, I remember when I remember like the whole Luke thing. I understand what Ryan Johnson was going for. It just wasn't what people wanted to see, and I think really but really, the Rise of Skywalker was way worse than The Last Jedi, in my opinion.
Fair enough. No, granted, I believe you have not yet seen the sequel trilogy for Star Wars, have you, Chat? Or
No, I'm sadly, it just Star Wars never really
fair enough.
got to me. My boyfriend is into it, but I'm not.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I have to ask him what his views on Star Wars someday if I ever meet him, possibly at the next Comic Con when that's actually allowed in the UK.
Well,
Anyway.
or whenever people can actually go to conventions without fear of catching a deadly virus.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
See, granted,
Hopefully sooner.
granted, I hear the UK is nearly finished with a vaccine, so who knows?
Yeah.
Let's see. But anyway, I believe, let's see, when you mentioned the death, I believe one of the things you mentioned, Naruto being stuck in another dimension, because I believe that actually did happen in the Boruto thing, where Sasuke was investigating Kara, and he ended up going to, like, I think Kaguya's dimension, where he found, like, another 10 Tails, and then he found the leader of, Kara back when he was, like, in the host body of a guy called Jurgen, and when he went to originally retrieve Karaki, he ended up having a battle against both Naruto and Sasuke there, and he ended up trapping Naruto in a sort of like spear. Time everyone thought it's like, oh, so this is how Naruto's going to be out of the picture. He's going to be trapped in this sort of spear. But then the new Team 7 and Karaki end up traveling to that dimension through their karma seals. Let's see, they fight one of the members of Kara called Bora, I think. Not Boruto ends up killing him by being temporarily taken over by the Boruto movie Otsutsuki Minasuki. I don't know. I've never seen the movie, so I can't really know the name. But hey, he's pretty much the only Boruto villain I think most people remember, just because of the movie. But yeah,
the only Boruto movie ever made, because the series is so unsuccessful that since then it hasn't, had any other big media produced. Like, for example, with Naruto, we had one movie a year that good. It was making, money and everything. But with Boruto, the backlash was too big for it to be profitable.
Yeah, granted, they did. Granted, the first movie did, of course, make a fair bit of money, but that was probably mostly because this time they were definitely going to include Sasuke.
Yeah, and it was very close to the ending of Naruto had ended supposedly last year, so to speak, and in between we had the what's it called, the Naruto Gaiden, and then we had the Boruto movie. So it was really close. The whole thing, it wasn't, time hadn't passed, but now.
But yeah, so they end up rescuing Naruto, and then we end up with like the situation we're here now. Because anyway, Greg, before I go on more about this, do you want to share more details on why you don't think Naruto's going to die? If he does die, he won't be dead for long, kind of thing.
Well, I don't think Kishi would do that, because it's just Naruto is basically supposed to be him, I think. So I really doubt he'd permanently kill him off.
Good point.
That is true, because Naruto was supposed to be the kid that surpasses each of his predictions. Oh, I'm just getting a message. Lucky Chi just got home, so he should be joining. Let's see. So let's see. As soon as he's joined, I'm just going to ask him what his thoughts. And looks like Lucky Chi is. Hello, Lucky Chi.
Hey, what's up?
Hey.
Let's see. Well, we have just finished discussing the Boruto chapter, but let's see. Before that, let's see, some brief introductions. You, of course, know Chatte, but if you're wondering who other guest is, it's none other than the one, the only, Retrospective Greg.
It's just retrospect. Hello? I don't think. Hi.
I believe, let's see, you two have never interacted, but I have shown Lucky Chi your videos, and I have tried to show you some of his podcasts, but...
I've seen your video on the last, and that's pretty good.
Have you guys ever seen any of my other videos, my gaming stuff, or just?
I've seen your Kingdom Hearts, and I've also seen your Bleach, and I have seen your Avatar Book 1. And I've also seen your Injustice one.
Oh, yeah. Injustice. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and redo the first games I recorded because foolishly I didn't label them, so I have to fix that.
Oh, I hate when that happens.
For some reason, your Injustice video seems to get a bit of a negative dislikes. I don't know why, but...
Which one? 1 or 2?
Number 2, I think.
That was a terrible video. I hated that one.
Fair enough, so that might be the problem. Anyway, the only guest we're now missing is For Life. I told him in advance when this was happening. I gave him... Let's see, I even delayed this stream for a week just because he was busy with Thanksgiving, but hey, and he's still late. You try and get into contact with him, you have more success than I do on that front.
Yeah. I asked him like 40 minutes ago, but I haven't heard a response yet, so...
But anyway, before we get on to a thing, you're just sending that message. I might as well ask to For Life. I might as well just ask you. Let's see, because we've already talked about it. But what did you think of the Boruto chapter that came out last month?
It was okay. I didn't hate it, but I was like, all right.
What did you think of like Naruto's new mode, Brian mode?
Very good.
Okay.
Brian.
The concept of it, I could see working, but the design of it, I think, is where it lacked a lot.
I believe you were not quite fond of the upper tails around his shoulders, if I recall.
Yeah, that just looked kind of weird. I'm like, if it were me, I would have been like, all right, let me move those tails and like put them like at the tail end of the cape. But oh well. Also, convenient timing too. I'll say that convenient timing on that showing up.
But yeah. So anyway, we're just talking about whether or not Naruto is gonna die next chapter. Do you think he's gonna die?
At this point, I'm gonna say it's 50-50. I can go either way.
Fair enough. Well, anyway, as for my own thoughts, on one hand, let's see, this has been constantly teased from the series. At this point, you're just like, just either get it done already, or just don't do it all. But
here's the thing: if they actually kill Naruto for good, I'll actually be kind of impressed.
Same.
But part of me is like always skeptical because apparently Naruto was supposed to be the character that surpasses the previous generations.
Well, I think. Well, here's the thing. That's the thing. I basically. As soon as they made that, I said, well, there goes that theme, because they basically, the whole point of Naruto was their generation was supposed to fix everything, but when they made another generation after them, it's like, oh, great, so they're going to be even better than them, so, like, Naruto's narrative, in my opinion, didn't lend itself to a sequel all that well, but, but because they wanted to keep making money, they did this.
Right?
The only way I think you could have made a sequel to Naruto is not try to have the previous new generation surpass the old one, but try and have the new generation try and preserve what the Naruto's generation has just built. Make sure that it lasts. That's the only way I think you could have made a Naruto sequel work. But of course, that's not what they did, and it's kind of similar to what, let's see,
sorry. I just wanted to say they just recycled the old Naruto.
Yeah,
That's what
I do remember coming across an interview like a while back. I don't remember what year it was, but they mentioned something about the original pitch being something along the lines of a reboot, but instead they went with this.
Yeah, well, not the best.
I do believe in your last video retrospective, Greg, that at one point you think they considered doing a part 3 of Naruto sorts, starting with the last.
Well, I think that was the original idea, was that they were going to do I think at Jump Festa that year, 2014, like after Naruto ended, they said the original idea was that this was going to be a part 3 of Naruto, but then they did Boruto instead.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that too. Like I remember them saying that like the last was going to be like the start of this Naruto New Era project or whatever.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Apparently, at some point, it just became a Naruto Hinata love story, I guess. But
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Now, part 3 of Naruto could possibly worked, but the way they did it they just killed any momentum for that for happening. But yeah.
Well, here's what I think. What I want to know is I want to know what was going on behind the scenes, like leading up to that, like what was like the development, like because I remember like Road to Ninja ended with a little tease that the next movie would start a new project, and like I remember there was a lot of build up to it, like people were wondering what this movie was going to be. There was a lot of mystery, and then it turned out to be a Naruto Hinata love story, and it was like, okay, was this always going to be a Naruto Hinata love story, or was it just or did it just become one?
That's what I was curious about too, because when was that? Like November, right? I think it was because I remember Road to Ninja came out, and I think it was like November of that year, where they're
July 2012.
Yeah,
yeah,
because I remember shortly after that they were like, "Oh yeah, we have another Naruto movie planned," and it was like, "Okay, what are you guys gonna do next after this?" And I think they just sat on it for 2 years because we didn't know anything about what was going on with that until we got to the end of the manga.
Well, we didn't know any. I remember when they first, and I was never very comfortable with the movie when it was announced, because I was like, well, this pretty much reveals that everybody gets out of that PowerPoint thing, like because it showed everybody got out. Like they even kind of revealed that Sasuke became good again. So I was like, yeah, well, thanks a lot. You guys spoiled the ending,
right?
Granted, if they just said this is going to be a non-canon movie, it might have been all right, fine. This could be a what-if universe, but let's see. But clearly, they wanted to make this movie canon, and it seems like Studio Art decided they finally wanted to get their grubby hands on Naruto the way they wanted to be with Hinata.
Well, here's the thing. I think here's the thing. Like, I don't know. I think Kishi just didn't give a damn anymore at that point, because he was like, like I think he said they just came to him and they were like, "Oh, what if we added this song to it?" And he was like, I think he was like, "Well, this isn't what I was really going for, but okay, whatever."
That's the thing. I kind of had the same thought about that because and I remember not hearing about it, but it's been something I've thought about for a while. But I feel like by the time we got to the war arc, like he just felt like he was kind of done writing the series, and he was just kind of like going along with it. So I
believe his first editor always says that he probably needs to stand up for himself more. But hey,
yeah. Well, there's that, and then I don't remember where, but I think Ishii admitted that like a team of like writers just came up to him and said, "Hey, what do you think?" And he's just like, "Yeah, sure, just go ahead."
It's one in one of the interviews. I mean, I have it on my Tumblr, but to go down on 4,000 pages, it's a kill. But I did come by it like a month ago while looking for something else, of course.
Yeah.
And he said that the idea was that someone at Studio Pierrot came and told him about the whole Naruto and Hinata love story thing and whatever.
Yeah.
And he
He's
just
also
kind of
told,
went
oh,
along with it because he did he did wanted to end whatever ties he had with Naruto. He just wanted to pause because if you guys remember
his
the
dad died?
yeah, his dad died, and there
That
was
was
a
like
lot of
early in the year too. I remember that.
it was right on the time he drew the chapter with the real end.
Mhm.
So
Let's see,
imagine.
so that probably implied that he was still going with now Sakura at that point until let's see. But yeah, anyway, I feel like let's see, probably also maybe got influenced by all those editors and studios saying Hinata's more liked, Sakura is hated. But yeah, turns out that was not the case in Japan. But hey,
And not even in the whole world. I mean, the Sakura hate was more like a meme culture than, actual hate.
Yeah, that's the gist of what it was.
unfortunately, I think let's see, the editors and the studio twisted it enough to convince Kishimoto that it wasn't meme. It wasn't just meme culture. It was just the majority. But
Yeah,
turns out,
they just showed him the videos of so-called reviewers on YouTube and stuff because they were just, oh, Sakura's such a bitch, oh, Sakura's this, that, and whatever. So, of course, the dude believed it because that's the only medium he came in contact with.
let's see. Let's see. Granted, sometimes I wish he just delved into why the character was hated. But hey, who knows? I wouldn't be surprised if
Well,
the
here's
editor.
the thing about Kishi. I remember, what was it, that interview that came out after the manga ended but before the last came out? Well, okay, I think it came out right when the last came out, but it was recorded before the last came out, where he was talking about Kobayasha. Like, I basically told my thumbnail artist, I was like, did you know that he didn't plan for Orochimaru to be part of the story? He was basically thinking about how to go about the tournament, and he was like, he was going to have Shikamaru win, but his editors told him to create a villain named Orochimaru who would disrupt the tournament. He was like, God, Kishi.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
Interview with
That's a good point.
Kobayashi.
I do wonder how much Sakura's role was diminished because editors said no, not to do this. Because I think
Well, I think he also reduced Kakashi's role because he didn't want him to be more popular than Naruto.
Yeah, I remember
He
that.
did say that.
Yeah.
I also remember in terms of part one, the one thing he wanted to do was showcase more missions with Team 7, but they wanted to move that along.
I do. Honestly, you probably should have just done what the Gintama writer did: make fun of the popularity polls, or just don't give a damn about them. Because, well, heck, they're not necessarily true. But hey, it's mostly the die-hard fans that just vote in those. But hey, but anyway. Let's see, where was I? I'm trying to remember where I was on topic. But yeah, I believe the editors might have, diminished Sakura's role, because I did hear from someone in Heaven and Earth that she was originally supposed to have a full-on fight with Sasuke, but the editor told her to skip that, really.
Well, that's the thing. She really needed to fight Sasuke there, but not the first time this happened, because I remember hearing something that he was going to have Tsunade fight Pain, but his editors told him to hurry up and have.
Yeah, that's another one I heard about too.
It's the one thing that still frustrates Chatte to this day.
And then there's Sai. Sai was supposed to have a big part too, but because he wasn't well liked, let's sideline him. I'm like, then.
Well, I think the biggest problem with Kishi is that he has no spine. In my opinion, he really doesn't know how to say no to his editors.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a consensus among everyone.
I believe Yahagi also said that in one interview. But yeah. But anyway, so yeah, I was going on about Naruto supposedly supposed to surpass the next generation. Not end up getting killed like Obito and Jiraiya did at some points in their life, not get corrupted by evil, succeed at becoming like Hokage, saving his best friend. Supposedly getting the girl of the love of his life, unfortunately, thanks to editorial and studio interferences and the Nahina fan base, that did not happen.
Well, one thing I'm trying to figure out I think what it was, I heard Studio Pearl was denying that they hated Sakura or something like that. They were like, no, we don't hate Sakura. We really don't.
Oh, really?
Like,
I remember there was some backlash at some point, I think.
Well, I do vaguely remember Studio Pro responding that, no, we don't hate Sakura. We love her. Like, they were basically trying to, just dissuade that. They were like, no, that's not true. That's not true at all.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, for my basic, granted, I do know that the female staff like Sakura, but clearly I think the ones that are more Hinata fans, clearly...
I think it was a battle of sexes here, truth be told.
It feels like that.
Yeah, the female staff liked Sakura, and they kind of, did these cute Narusaku fillers and everything, and Sakura preparing the food pills for Naruto or stuff like that, But then we had the male ones who instead, just gave Hinata those fillers where Naruto notices her and she's this overly sexualized young lady and stuff like that. So in the end, there was this battle of sexes, which sadly ended with male dominance, I guess.
I have to wonder how much of that was actually Hinata herself and more so her voice actress, because I know her voice actress is pretty popular in Japan.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard about that. I don't know if that had... I've heard that apparently Nana Mizuki is really famous in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
It is. She is.
Granted, I did recall seeing Japan fans complain about her after the ending was ruined because of her characters. Like, this is Toriko all over again or something, because...
Yeah, because it wasn't the first anime that had this.
Because I believe, she played a filler-only character in that anime series, and it even got an arc, and people didn't really like the character, and eventually it resulted in, I think, in the anime getting a bit canned, so... Because I know that was the time when Shonen Jump was trying to have Toriko replace Bleach as one of its three main mangas at the time. Granted, it never really worked out, from what I can tell.
Nah.
But yeah, I guess this is what happens when you try to force something. It just doesn't work. But yeah. So yeah, I believe the voice. The voice actress was possibly one of the things, though. Granted, that ended up backfiring. But yeah. So yeah. Anyway, let's see. If Naruto does die or is temporarily out of the picture, the Leaf Village will need a new Hokage or something. So I'm wondering, who do you think they would make? Who do you think would be suitable, or who do you think they would make the Hokage after Naruto?
Can I go first on this?
I guess Konohamaru would take over.
Konohamaru? I can see that.
Actually, well, I don't understand.
He's been getting shafted though, whether it's the anime or the manga.
He's supposed to be one of the He's supposed to be one of the main characters in this Boruto series, and yet he's barely in it.
Grandson of Hiruzen and nephew of Asuna, and he's unfortunate.
Not to mention he's supposedly the disciple of Naruto, so
there's that too.
But yeah, give out your list of who you think is going to be Hokage.
I'm going to say something that I don't know if it's going to be too out there, but I could see Sokka taking that helm.
I don't know if I don't know. I mean, the Sakura. I mean, from what I've heard, Sarada doesn't really get to do anything in the game. In the manga, she doesn't really have much of a role.
Yeah, she hasn't. Well, lately, she hasn't really had too much, from what I remember.
Well, here's the thing. I think Kishi's gonna be tempted to do. He's probably like, okay, Sarada's a girl, push her aside, or Sarada's an Uchiha, make her the main character. He's like, oh crap, what do I do?
Out of curiosity, Lucky G, did you say Sakura or Sarada?
Sakura.
Sakura. Oh, okay. Okay, that makes a bit more sense because Sarada still a Genin and
Like I don't think we're gonna get Sarada as Hokage until like later on down the road because we know that's our goal.
Yeah, probably in an epilogue thing, but yeah. But yeah, I think let's see. I do recall the Boruto movie novel adaptation, which I think was also written by the previous writer for Boruto. Had Boruto state that if Naruto needed to be replaced by Kage for some sort of thing, he said that Sakura would be the most suitable candidate. Which, to be fair,
actually, didn't Kishi said that at some point?
Did he?
I believe so, or she'd be the most appropriate to be a sensei. Maybe both.
Or sensei. Okay. I know there was a point. There was a time at some point that that thing was brought in discussion, and
yeah.
But it would be, I think, a nice parallel to the whole Jiraiya Tsunade thing, in a way. If Sakura would be, there to take the mantle.
I wonder how the fan base would treat it. What? Her? No! Get her out of here!
Well, those that probably absolutely despise her would probably not like it, but the probably soccer fans, Sasuke soccer fans are probably like, yeah, you should get more proper, better treatment now, though. I think the soccer fans outside of
you guys, I don't know, does Hinata do anything in Boruto? I've heard she barely shows up.
No, she's just taking care of, I forget, what's her
name? Worry.
Kimonari.
Kimori, there we go, yeah.
She did have a few things in that time travel arc in which Boruto meets Part 1 Naruto and most of the cast with Sasuke with the adult Sasuke.
I was like, I heard about that. Apparently that's actually canon, so it's like they go back in time and it's like I remember it's like, you ever see the Simpsons episode Treehouse of Horror where Homer like builds a time machine, ends up building a time machine out of his poster, and he's like, wow, look at that! I'm the first non-Brazilian person to travel backwards through time. And then Mr. Peabody and Sherwin show up. Correction, Homer, you're the second. That's right, Mr. Peabody. Quiet, you. It's like I just got reminded of that.
Yeah, apparently it was a story recommendation Kishimoto did, and it ended up using the used concept of like a suit scheme clan member that was supposed to appear in the movie, but was scrapped. This guy with a fishing rod kind of like weapon ended up, appearing in the anime version of the Boruto movie storyline, and then appeared in like the One Tail arc with the anime did, finally addressing what happened to the tailed beasts after the war, because that question was left out for years, and everyone just had to assume that they're in some place enjoying their lives, which ended up being the case, but hey. And then the following arc, he goes back and tries to go back in time to get Naruto before he's too powerful to take down, resulting in like Boruto meeting, Jiraiya for the first time and learning just how much of a pervert he was and how dumb Naruto used to be.
And basically they tried to make Hinata more relevant.
Oh yeah.
Because she suddenly shows up in all these memories and they're like, okay, where was she 15 years ago?
Oh yeah, and also maybe throwing some more negative shades at Sakura's tsundere tendencies, but that's Studio Period for you. But yeah,
there was a lot of room and opportunity for that time travel arc. Like you could have had it to where where it's like right around the time when Sasuke leaves the village. Could have done that, but oh well.
By the way, Lucky G, have you got any response from 4Life yet?
Nope, haven't heard anything yet.
God damn it! How could he be so damn late? I've given him the proper timing. Never mind. But anyway, so they had. Let's see what else I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah. So yeah, let's see. Next, Hokage thing. I do think. Sakura would probably be the most logical choice since. Well, she was trained by Tsunade, has the similar moveset, which is, as we've seen in the Pain arc, was very useful to have. Not to mention, it would probably give her something to do in the story if Kishimoto actually does that now, but since he's now taking over, but who knows? She's probably the most powerful kunoichi in the ninja world right now. Also, she's besides being the disciple of like the 5th Hokage, she's also the disciple of. She's also a student of the 6th Hokage. In a sense, she's like the 3rd Hokage, where she had 2 Hokage teaching her, in a sense. But yeah. The only other choices I can think of that they might do is Shikamaru, just because how many times people have said, "Oh, he could be Hokage if he wasn't so lazy," but I wouldn't really do it. But see, Kishimoto was a bit of a fanboy enough, a bit of a Sasuke fanboy he is, might try and make Sasuke it, but I don't really see how that could.
I don't. You want my opinion? I don't think Sasuke would take that position. I really don't.
Yeah, to be honest, mostly due to his shady past, but hey. And I believe he's still technically a Genin, so there's that. Other than that, I can see Konohamaru, maybe, but I think he's still just like sort of like just a Jonin level rather than a Kage level ninja right now. And not to mention, I think he's still supposed to of like the next gen Team 7. The only other thing I can think of they're doing is just bringing back either Tsunade or Kakashi to fill in the role until like they get a proper replacement.
I was just about to say that maybe Kakashi could, but who knows?
Who knows? From what I can tell, Kakashi has not appeared once in the manga. He has appeared a few times in the Boruto anime. Heck, I think he was ended up teaching Boruto a new Rasengan to fight this filler member of Kara called Deepa.
Let me think. He showed up at the end of the first arc for the anime, and then during the graduation exams. That's the gist of what I remember.
I believe he did. I think he also appeared in the latest anime arc. I think they're called the Car Auction arc, which I think is apparently something to do with Hashiyama's cells and a member of Kara that was burned to a crisp in the manga. So hey,
I haven't got up to that point yet.
but yeah. So yeah, can anyone think of anyone else who could possibly replace Naruto as Hokage?
Don't they say that Sasuke is kind of like the wandering Hokage or something like that?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, the Shadow Hokage.
That kind of pisses me off because Sasuke did not deserve to be Hokage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's see, if anything, he's just, I believe he should just be as, like, semi-exile, investigator for the Leaf or something, but hey.
I mean, I think he still says that he's still, like, on a journey of atonement, even now, so.
Yeah. Which doesn't give him much time to spend with his daughter or supposed wife, but hey.
Actually, I don't know if you guys saw this. My day Naruto became Hokage video. I pointed out after that. I was like, huh. No wonder he never goes home. He probably doesn't want to.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's like
it looks that
the fact that
way.
they turned that into a joke was.
But yeah, but the less I see of Sasuke and Sakura interacting, the better.
Well, yeah, I don't. Well, here's the thing. Here's what I've heard is that they basically try to avoid Sasuke and Sakura whenever possible because they know what it is, and they're
yeah. Even Kishi said that.
At some point between Chapter 700 and Naruto Gaiden, like they looked at Sasuke and Sakura's whole relationship and went, "Oh my God, what have we created?"
I believe you once said in your part 6 of the Rise and Fall of Naruto video that there was a father said, "You have left me and my daughters a horrible message. We are done with you and your work."
Yeah, I don't remember it exactly, but I remember seeing something like that on his thank you page. Like, there was no way he didn't hear something about that. Like, they had to have heard the backlash, because Naruto Gaiden was clearly written to try to make something positive out of Sasuke Sakura.
Something, yeah.
Now, granted, if you ask James S. Cassidy, they just added more flames, more wood to the fire.
Fuel to the flower. Yeah.
You know what the sad thing is? That they actually had a plot line in there that I think could have worked. but they didn't go all the way through with it.
I mean, but anyway, but after that Retsi thing, there's always going to be that little implication that Sakura's let's see, Sadara's actual mother. It might just be Karen, but hey.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they drew her like Karen, so.
Yeah. As for who Boruto's supposed to be...
now. Oh,
Sorry, go on.
Go ahead.
No, go. You go first.
I was just saying that in Gaiden and since the end, everything, the dynamics change. I mean, my old theory, in a way, could still stand because they made Sakura into Karin, they made Hinata into Sakura. They just changed the dynamics of the characters to fit this new narrative. For what purpose? I'm not exactly sure, though.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, so yeah, what was I? Let's see. So yeah, let's see. So let's see. I was gonna make a joke about how I have no idea who Boruto's design is supposed to be based off. Part of me feels like Kishimoto just try and pick the worst possible hairstyle to give that character. But hey.
If you ask me, the only thing distracting about that design is that stem that's sticking up at the top. That's all I'm like.
Let's see. Is it apparently it's supposed to look like a leaf, but oh boy. But anyway, let's see. I think we just talked about enough about who Naruto is going to be as like Hokage. Let's see. Let's see. Given how the manga seems to be like 50 plus chapters in, do we think there'll be a time skip soon?
I think we're in due for one. As for how far that is, I don't know.
Probably 2 years or so, from the looks of it. 2-3 years.
The first chapter does seem to imply that. Let's see. Boruto looks like 15 to 16, maybe 17.
Yeah, at the very least for Naruto was by the time part 2 started. Yeah.
Exactly. It's probably 15, 16. Because by the end of the war, I know Sakura is 17. Sure. And this means that she was 16 at the time, 15, 16 at the time. The original shipping started. So,
I believe by the beginning of the arc, they were probably late in the 15s, and by the Pain arc, Naruto was at least 16, and by the end of the war, he was 17. So I assume that, let's see.
He's 16 because Sakura is 17, and Sakura is older than him with half a year.
Yeah. No, I believe the war ended on his birthday, so he became 17 by the end of the series. But hey,
yeah.
So yeah,
because when he met his dad, he said he was 16, and then by the time the war ends, he's 17.
Yeah. Granted, let's see. I never really got the point of Naruto's birthday being the end of the war because Kishimoto never really did anything with it. Who knows? Perhaps he was saving it for like a. But Naruto has a special birthday. Sakura he gets a girlfriend on his birthday or something like that. Kind of similar to Percy Jackson.
I mean, I get the symbolism behind why you would end the war on his birthday, considering the day he was born. It's like when
the day his journey started, the day his journey also ends.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows? But yeah. Well, granted, I do still wish that the war was much longer in terms of time span. But anyway, we're not going to get into that unless I do a war stream. But yeah, so we all seem to think he will get a time skip. But anyway, I think that's everything we've discussed on the Boruto chapter. And 4Life is still not here. I'm going to have words with him at some point. You better show up.
Like an angry girlfriend.
Watch him show up like right as we get done. Like, oh hey guys, I'm here.
Oh boy. And then it's like, damn it, 4Life! Now I have to extend this for another 30 minutes just to get all your thoughts on everything we're going to discuss. But yeah, that's 4Life for you. I don't know how you're able to do your Black Clover podcasts with him, Lucky Chi.
I'm a pretty patient guy.
Fair enough, but anyway. We should now finally go on to the news of Kishimoto. Anyway, I'm just gonna... Oh, damn it. Let's see, read an article from from a Screen Rant, because this is the one that's less likely to annoy me, though granted all the articles on, let's see, Kishimoto's return will annoy me just for the praise of Boruto it gets, but hey.
Go ahead.
So anyway, as we learned about, let's see, I think just before the last chapter came out, let's see, it was announced that Kishimoto would be returning to the series and replacing Uko Kodachi as, let's see, the writer of the series. Apparently, Ikemoto is still drawing, but Kishimoto will become the new lead writer. From what let's see, this article from Screen Rant saying, Naruto, why Kishimoto will return, with brackets and what it means for Boruto. Masahiro Kishimoto, the original creator of Naruto, is returning to the franchise to write the Boruto sequel. But why and what lies ahead? Kishimoto has returned to Naruto, but what does this mean for the future of the iconic anime and manga franchise? Kishimoto first debuted his enthusiastic young ninja back in 1997, and the character's popularity led to a full manga series beginning publication 2 years later. Naruto enjoyed a stellar 15-year run, ending in the late 2014, with the title character finally achieving his dream of becoming a Hokage of the Konoha village. For the entirety of that period, which compromises of both Naruto and Naruto Shippuden anime series, Kishimoto was the man in charge of Naruto's Uzumaki fate, but the artist and writer stepped down following the release of that final chapter. While Kishimoto pursued new projects, well, let's see, not until 2019 he actually did them. Let's see, Jump saw more money into Naruto franchise and Susti commissioned a Boruto anime and manga sequel starring Naruto's son. The TV series has mostly been filler thus far, with only glimmers of canon material peeking through interminity. The manga, meanwhile, has been penned by Ukio Kodachi, but Shonen Jump recently announced that Masashi Kishimoto would be making his grand return to the Naruto franchise, taking over writing duties from chapter 52 and onwards. Jump's official announcement claims that Kishimoto is always scheduled to take over Boruto, but there are other potential factors contributing to his return. Kishimoto's first big project after completing Naruto was Samurai 8, The Tales of Hachimaru, which began weekly serialization in May 2019. Complex mythology, and is that you, Retrospective Greg?
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah.
I'm just reading out an article from Screen Rant. Let's see. The complex mythology and long-term threads have been gradually mapped out. Kishimoto clearly had big plans for Samurai 8, but the series was cancelled less than a year after its debut, rushing to an awkward, makeshift conclusion. Samurai 8 was at most only 50% through its intended length, leaving fans who had already invested in Kishimoto's unique sci-fi samurai world briefly disappointed. Had Samurai 8 been rousing success and still going strong, it's highly unlikely that Kishimoto would be taking over on Boruto. Not right now, at least. Boruto's creator might have agreed to helm Boruto once Samurai 8 was over, hence Shonen Jump's insistence that the change was always planned. Without Samurai 8's abrupt cancellation early this year, Ukio Kodachi would have enjoyed a few more years on the Boruto job. Another factor behind Masahiro Kishimoto's workload of a mangaka. After writing and drawing a weekly series for 15 years, Kishimoto was apparently seeking a less intense schedule post-Naruto. With Samurai 8, Kishimoto himself only wrote the story and characters, leaving the artwork duties to Akira Okabu, who I believe was also an assistant for the Naruto years. Boruto's manga utilizes the same structure. Until now, Ukio Kodachi wrote the sequel, but the artwork came from Kishimoto, chief assistant Mikio Iteimoto. The return of Masashi Kishimoto to Naruto reunites the classic creative team, but as with Samurai 8, allows the creator to focus solely on a single aspect. On one hand, Kishimoto taking ownership of Boruto is good news for readers who yearn for a more authentic Naruto experience. Their article's words, not mine, but online reaction to the announcement has been fairly divisive. Despite the filler-heavy anime, the Boruto manga has been widely praised as a worthy continuation, and Ukiyo Kodachi in particular has earned platitudes for his exciting story and developments. That said, Boruto manga sales have failed to match the strong reviews, and Kishimoto could be a response to those lackluster numbers. Instead to make Naruto more profitable, as the rival of any new lead writer, Kishimoto may allow some ideas laid out by a predecessor and began introducing material as soon as possible. It may not be a coincidence that Mashimoto Kishimoto's return to Naruto franchise comes immediately after manga teased Naruto Uzumaki's death. The Seventh Hokage unlocked a new Kurama transformation that supposedly cost his life in Chapter 51. And with the first Boruto chapter also teasing Naruto's demise, the fateful moment comes sooner rather than later. Since Naruto was a creation, it would make sense that Kishimoto's return to oversee the death of his most famous character. Okay, before we get into this more, I just have to wonder, this new Kurama transformation, is it only something that the Nine-Tails can do, and it's Jinchuriki, or can all tailed beasts do this?
We don't know.
Good question.
That's a big person, but yeah. But as we can see, Kishimoto has returned to Naruto, and I believe, before we get into details of why he does it, how did you all first react to the news when you heard it?
I have a line in my Bleach Part 3 review where I say, I know, I don't care.
Kind of same. I mean, of course, I acknowledge the buzz that was created around this move, but for me, Kishimoto as a writer is dead. I don't trust anything he does. I don't trust he's going to do something with this series, because let's not forget that he was, after all, the writer of Naruto, and look where Naruto got. So I personally am just like, I mean, like Greg said, I really don't care. Yeah, I wrote an article about it because I want to give my opinion, and I had some people on my inbox on Instagram and Tumblr. They were like, "Oh, have you heard Kishimoto's back? Do you think that this means something for Narasaku? Do you mean that whatever, this and that?" And I was like, "Dudes, are you forgetting who we're talking about here? Really? I mean, that's short memories." So yeah, that's my take at least. I will never, ever, ever, ever forgive him. I mean, I can understand him, but I will never forgive him for what he did to Sakura. Truly.
Fair enough. What about you, Lucky Chi?
Well, my take on Kishi, as far as Naruto goes, it pretty much falls in line with Greg and Chad. But considering that I delved into Samurai just because I was curious about what he was going to do, and I've seen where he's kind of improved, but there are still some weaknesses there that carried over from Naruto, like expositions and whatnot, because I think he still needs to work on that. But do I think it's going to be like a gradual increase in terms of writing quality? Maybe slightly, but I don't think it's going to be like anything too big. As far as hearing the announcement goes, I did think it was a safe play on Kishi's part, considering that Samurai didn't exactly work out. And my interpretation on this is that maybe as he's still currently working on whatever he wants to showcase next, he's just falling back on board just because it'll, I don't know, keep him afloat. That's our one I'm going to use here.
Fair enough.
I mean, that's kind of, like, we all do this because it's human nature after all.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of go to what's comfortable for us. So in a way, Boruto is kind of his comfort zone. So I think it's, up to a point, it's understandable, but still, like I said, I don't trust him. And I think it was more Shonen Jump kind of trying to get him back, because to create some buzz, and who knows, maybe his name holds some sort of saving grace for the series
It
and
feels like it.
boost in sales. Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, from what I've heard in Japan, it's not such a big hit. I mean, Boruto, from what I know, it's doing better internationally than home market, and I can totally see why.
Sorry to interrupt you, Chat, but the
Yeah, it's
crazy thing that I found out was that apparently the anime for Boruto is doing wonders over in Japan, but not so much the manga.
From my
yeah,
understanding,
but
go
sorry,
ahead, Jack.
go. No, what I want to say
Really,
from
is the anime
yeah,
doing well?
it's doing great, but wait, let's put it a bit in perspective.
Mhm.
Because from what I understood, it's doing great only because it's put in a time slot that doesn't really have a competition.
No, it doesn't.
So it's bound to be great. But
Yeah, that's the big factor is the time slot.
so it's like fake great, so to speak.
Mhm.
Or if
Yeah.
it's put on a Saturday morning thing, like where Pokemon and stuff, and like other kids' animes are done for there, so it's like, it's in a slot where kids just Fritzy pass now and just watch whatever's on TV there, or something like that, and that's one of the only reasons why it's there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's only it's given enough for it to stay on the air, but not enough to magally profit and do stuff that Naruto used to do with its movies and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah. Anyway, for my thoughts, I always had a feeling that Kishimoto would return to the world of Naruto at some point, because over the last few decades, we have seen that with like creators from various media, such as George Lucas returning to both Star Wars and Indiana Jones in the late 90s and early 2000s, with his prequel trilogy and Indiana Jones 4. J.K. Rowling returning to the world of Harry Potter by writing the each Harry Potter story.
Yeah, she's got her own problems. I'll just say that's all I'll say about that.
Oh yeah, her tweets are a shit show. But yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see, but other than that, let's see. She did the play of back in 2016, I believe. The Cursed. No, was it the year before that?
The Cursed Child? Yeah, I think it's
Cursed Child. Which you tend to use that.
It's about Belief Star.
You're never gonna let that nickname go, are you, Lucky Chi?
Let's see here. How many series have we read so far? Naruto, Bleach, My Hero. Yeah, there's a pattern, Blue.
It's just a mere coincidence. Anyway, let's see. The Cursed Child and the prequel movies of the Fantastic Beasts. Let's see. The creators of Avatar returning to The Legend of Korra being another example. And I suppose Middle-earth has two examples, with like the original author of Tolkien doing The Hobbit, I think, before World War II, and then doing Lord of the Rings after World War II. And then Peter Jackson directing the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, then going on to direct the Hobbit trilogy.
And Akira Toriyama's returned to Dragon Ball.
Oh yeah, that is
there's that too.
In many ways, so yeah. Now let's see. So yeah, after a period of time, possibly trying to do other works. Let's see, with hits or misses, depending on what you say, they go back to the old work. Granted, usually most of the works end up being mixed reactions, because that usually happens with sequels and prequels. Now, whether or not, let's see, you think the quality of these, if any of the things I've mentioned is any good or bad, but hey, it tends to happen. But it seems that, due to that, I knew at some point Kishimoto would return to the world of Boruto, to the world of Naruto. Sorry. Granted, I expected him to come back until after Boruto had ended. Let's see, and see if he would try and do his own thing or whatever, or what he actually wanted to do.
That's why I think it's more of a move made by Shonen Jump than Kishi actually wanting it.
So yeah, so I feel like due to the fact that his, I suppose we'll get into this for the next bit, but yeah, I thought, let's see, you probably wait until Boruto had concluded, and then maybe come in a few years later and try and say, I'm going to tell my own story, or this is what I actually wanted to do, or maybe even try and do an alternative, let's see, timeline thing. But either way, that's not here. But anyway. Let's see, but I suppose we can now go on to the next topic of why he's taking over. I assume that most of us feel like, as Chatte has just stated, he's been more forced into this rather than actually wanting to do it because.
Well,
Yes,
I have an idea that really he's after Summer 8 failed. I think he's desperate to try to build some cred, like get some cred back to his name.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I don't think he realized just how bad the backlash to his work would be, to like the ending to Naruto would be, that it would destroy possible chances of his future career as a mangaka. Now,
Well,
so you go on.
no, I just want to say that I don't know, man. Whoever worked in the marketing department and whoever did the market research and everything, I mean, how in the world? Because marketing is very tied up with branding.
Mm-hmm.
How in the world, after that whole development that happened in the manga, they thought that going on that route is the better choice? Because as I said, okay, I got it. You didn't want to, make Norsaku canon, but leave it open ending and give each portion of the fan base whatever they want to do, and they want to see and they want to have via the Infinite Tsukiyomi thing. That would have been a market. What?
So, in other words, leave the ending as an
Leave the ending open and explore afterwards each segment of your market. And you get all of them involved in a way without you give them all what they want without actually giving them all what they want.
So, in other words, possibly do an open ending thing, and if you want to do future projects, you could do what Marvel and DC do with like multiverse and have like different universes where, this is where it goes in this one direction or that one.
Though the manga was clearly built in a way, don't get me wrong. It should have clearly ended with Naruto as a Hokage, got together with Sakura, and saved Sasuke.
Oh yeah.
Those are the three main big things you can see from the space.
I do like it. Let's see. I do suppose that would be what you suggested would be the most marketable, secure thing. I do like it when creators stick to like the pairing that they actually intended, such as the creators of Avatar, I believe, intended for Aang and Katara to get together, and they stuck with it despite how loud or popular Satara was. But
yeah, I actually I'll go into that. I'll just give you a little preview of my Avatar videos. That I'm pretty neutral on the Kata Aang versus Sutara stuff, so it was whatever to me.
Mm-hmm.
It was
I didn't even know that existed until like years after the show, and I was like, really? I thought it was obvious who was going to
I mean, it was obvious, but the thing is, sorry to interrupt, Lou. With Avatar, it was heavily based on a lot of symbolism, so you could definitely had Zutara as well, because it has at some point some certain development that could be seen as that as well. But the thing is, it was clear from the very beginning that Aang and Katara will be the main, ship of the. So that was, and salute to them that they just get it through and everything, because that's respectable. I mean, it means you respect your own work and don't just.
Let's see, but yeah. So yeah, anyways, it's like, let's see, they probably will end up being worth how popular it was, but they stuck with Catan because that's what they wanted to do, at least from what I can tell, despite what many Satara fans will probably say. But hey, granted, I will admit, out of all the good girl, bad boy ships, that is probably the least toxic one, but I still wouldn't really be like all for it. But hey. But anyway, I thought it was like a
Yeah, it's nice. It has a lot of symbolism. I can totally. I mean, I have a spot. I have a soft spot for it, so to speak. But I'm also all for Aang and Katara. And as I was saying, Atla was built in such a way that everything can work, literally, because you either have complementary forces or opposite forces, and the lore and the thematic has them both. That's why, outside of the choice of the authors, you can go on all these extra
fair enough. But
roads,
yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah, I thought Sitar was a bit of a crack ship when I first think. I was surprised how popular it was. But anyway, going back to like but yeah, Kishimoto. Yeah, I do think due to the fact that he probably underestimated the backlash of his like end of the ending of Naruto, that he probably didn't realize that it would probably destroy his future works. Granted, it was clear from what me and Lucky Cheese saw in Samurai 8 that he was clearly trying to this time stick with the pairing or the couple that he wanted to have.
It's not just that, but and Chatte noticed this too when I made this post on Twitter. But because I was going back and reading Samurai 8, and I was like, is it just me or am I noticing like a parallel here with just the confession scene?
Mm-hmm. It is. It's true. It truly is. And as I said, I think it's a big shade at his previous work. Because that thing because you're my princess of fate, that's clearly shade of the whole thing with Princess of Byakugan or whatever. And he's like, no, it's just because it's you. And that's what actually happens in Naruto. Naruto doesn't like Sakura because she's this, special girl with special abilities or whatever. No, she's just Sakura, the way she is. Dumb sometimes, smart other times, does stupid things at sometimes, does great things the others, and he just loves her the way she is.
Oh, here's my biggest problem. Is that the biggest problem with Sakura is that, like, he refused to have her get over Sasuke. Like, I just don't know. Like, what was it, chapter 693, where Sakura's like, you think she's getting really mad, and you think, oh, she's going to yell at him. This is going to be good.
Yeah,
that's what I thought too.
And then she just starts crying and begging him to stop.
And that was the biggest letdown of the century.
I was having partly hope that this scene was supposed to be okay. She finally realizes that he's never going to love her, and that eventually she's going to join Naruto in stopping him. But that ended up being less hopeful of that as the chapters get closer and closer to that 5 ending mark.
I mean, there was that other side where it was like, okay, maybe this is Kishi's way of saying, all right, here's the final nail in the coffin. It's never happening.
But let's see. Another thing is because you know that the tale of the Gallant Jiraiya had like a sort of like some of the novel that he did of the Gutsy Ninja was published at some point, right?
Yeah. Naruto and Tsuyu and Renge.
Yeah, where the Sakura counterpart in that book was asking her Kakashi counterpart what to do, and he ended up saying, think of what makes you the most happiest. And the Sakura counterpart was thinking of Naruto, and it looked like she was going off to help Naruto with that story.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, such great potential wasted.
And it wouldn't surprise me that this is what he intended to actually happen at some point. We'll see in the ending, but I don't know.
Every piece of media, until they decided to do that crappy thing with the last, pointed at Narsak. We had OVAs, we had the stories, we had
Road to Ninja.
Road to Ninja. We had the campaign with the blood donation in Japan after the whole tsunami.
There was also Road to Chatte.
Yeah, there was that too.
Yeah, so every piece of media pointed at Narasaku happening.
I should note that when people say, "Oh, you would have probably liked the last a lot better if it was, if you replaced Naruhina with Narasaku," and I said no. If we get that same story but with Narasaku,
God, no.
it wouldn't have helped. Like if you're telling me Naruto gets his complete motivation to confess to her because of that, I'd be like, no.
Well, I will admit, the Naruto alternative The Last Dojin does a pretty good job with the mess of that thing. Let's see, how would you make Naruto canon for that storyline? But I'd rather Naruto kiss her forehead and she realizes that, yeah, this is the man for me, but hey. Kind of
Yeah,
thing.
well, it is what it is.
But yeah, I mean, granted, after the ending, you rarely got any Narusaku thing. The only thing that came close was the road to Tenten, in which we find out that, as it was probably clear from the road to Chasuke thing, Etsy, and probably some of the other Road to Ninja merchandise, the Sakura of that world likes the member Etsy of that.
Well, I think they realized deep down, they were like, I think when they realized that cutting off the Narusaku fandom was not a good idea, they were like, oh, crap. I definitely think they realized, they were like, oh, maybe we shouldn't have done that.
Mm-hmm. Well, granted, unfortunately, the downside due to that to tension thing is that they gave the memo of that universe Sasuke's personality, so he wasn't interested in any of the girls. So, yeah, you're not. They threw like a tiny bone at Narasaku, but that was just about it. But yeah, but I think they've just mostly just been avoiding shipping stuff as much as possible, with the exception of maybe the next generation. Because I believe they did try. Because they're trying to make Boruto and Sadara mix of Naosasu and Naosaku.
No, but here's the thing, though. Like, and that was so apparent because, like, if you look at like other series, like even Bleach, yeah, okay, like Ichigo got with Orihime, but do you see him and Rukia avoiding one another? No. Do you see? Oh my god, what's the pair in Nisekoi?
Let's see.
You see them not communicating with one another? No, you still see them talk. So it's like, what's the whole deal here? You know?
Well,
yeah, I mean, it's really weird. You didn't have to cut up the friendship.
One of you go first. Mm-hmm.
me?
Yeah, you go first, Greg, and then Chat can say her piece.
Yeah, well, the thing about Ichigo and Rukia is I never saw them necessarily as romantic. They're always, it's like, to be fair, I never saw Rukia and Renji as romantic. I always saw that as like, they're partners. I didn't think any of the relationships in Bleach had to be romantic aside from Orihime liking Ichigo, but there was nothing that suggested that he felt the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. In Bleach, it wasn't. I mean, there was this one scene, though. I remember the panel because of certain thing. When he lost his powers, if I remember correctly, and she just fades away, and they kind of say goodbye to each other. Do you guys remember that part? And there's that panel with them and watching each other as Rukia just fades away in whatever, and they kind of had that subtone of slightly romantic thing, but not quite overly romantic. I mean, it was a subtle thing.
Like I was gonna say that I know Bleach and Yu Yu Hakusho has its similarities and whatnot, and I'm gonna take my guess and say maybe Kubo got a bit of inspiration with that, with Orihime kind of being similar to Keiko, but
But anyway, the Bleach dynamics are totally different than
the Naruto's,
the Naruto, so you can totally see either of them happening. I guess it's more of a preference thing, maybe. That's why I say, at least if Hinata in Naruto would have done half the things Orihime does in Bleach, maybe people would have, gotten easier.
Like if you actually got to see Hinata develop as a character, then that would have been great. But
from Let's see. As far as I know, the Bleach shipping wars never got as intense as the Naruto ones, unless you got fans from both sides, fans from that shipped both Narusaku and Ichirukia against fans who shipped both Naruhina and Ichihime.
I mean, you still had people like getting rid of their collection when Bleach ended after the pairings thing, so that there was still a bit of a factor there.
Yeah, but I don't think it was on the same scale as Naruto, of course.
No, it wasn't. But I would say that in terms of passionate people fighting over their ship, it was as bad as Naruto.
Just probably not as probably just not on the same scale, just because Naruto was more popular, and also at least Ichihime and Ichirukia, none of those two ships were toxic compared to like Narusaku versus Sasusaku or Naruhina.
Naruhina is not so toxic. It's just
no.
Oh no, she's not toxic, but her fan base is.
True, ironically. Naruhina is just bland and goes against the very core thematic of Naruto. That's the thing.
But yeah. Anyway, I think we've talked about, enough about why Kishimoto's talking off. But anyway, the next bit of the topic is why the old writer was replaced, and also talk about sales. But anyway, from what I can know about Yuyu Kodachi, is that he was besides being the former author of the monthly Boruto manga series, and apparently a story supervisor for the anime adaptation. He previously wrote the Gara Hidan light novel, and the light novel adaptation of Boruto the movie. And he collaborated with him on writing the screenplay of said movie. So that's apparently why he ended up becoming the writer for the Boruto manga series, because he did have a bit of work in the thing. Fair enough, chat. I believe you did tweet it. I think you liked or tweeted a quote from Gara Hidden about what Gara said about Sakura in that novel.
Oh yeah, it was basically praising Sakura that despite not being from a powerful ninja clan with bloodline abilities, she was the best ninja in the world. Which that was, I must admit, a nice thing. Though it pissed me off that they kind of didn't follow through with the whole thematic of the three-way deadlock. Because Naruto and Sasuke in the end get to be these three legends along with Kakashi. But Sakura is like, and at first when I heard that, I was like, okay, but Sakura.
I believe that was in the Shikamaru novel, right? So it seems like these writers had different ideas of what would be of Sakura's, reputation.
Probably that must be the case. But yeah, that was a nice touch. And what I do like is that, and I think this was something expected by everyone, the fact that she opened up, but that's in her novel. The
children's hospital,
the children's hospital. That was, everyone saw that in the miles way, because we were talking even before that. I was talking to people, and given how I saw the mirroring between Narsak and Sasukarin, I always believed that they would kind of build these networks, kind of like what they did with Kabuto, at the end, if I'm correct, if I remember correctly. He just deals with this children's hospital.
He's the last person I'd put next to orphans, but because since he probably...
I mean, what the hell? I would have totally seen Sasuke and Karin doing that, and the system basically be put in place by Naruto and Sakura, because Naruto, being the Hokage, and Sakura being the medical expert.
Fair enough, but yeah. Granted, the only reason why I have not bought that Naruto novel is because it's post the ending, and not to mention the fact that apparently it has quite a lot of Sasusaku stuff and a lot of stuff to downplay Narusaku. But hey, I mean, the only novel the Sakura Hidden novel. Apparently, that's what I've heard.
Sakura Hidden novel. I read it, and Sakura is pathetic in terms of Sakura. I'm sorry to say it. And the Naruto scene is sweet as always. It's just Naruto supporting her when Sakura once again wavers in terms of Sasuke. And ironically, though no one talks about this subject, they kind of show Sakura being a little bit jealous, you know,
It does.
because they over Naruhina, yeah, and there was this scene where they say she fret at the idea of a relationship between Naruto and Hinata, and I was like, and you said Naruto fans were crazy when the whole novel where you're celebrating Sasusaku says that she was, disturbed by the idea. I mean, this was all that people were saying that Sakura clearly started feeling something for Naruto.
Well, here's the thing I'm trying to figure out. Did they ever address, have they ever tried to tackle how Sasuke treated Sakura? Have they ever been like...
No,
never.
No.
They tried to ignore it.
Which I think would have been an interesting point to do for the time travel arc, but what do I know?
Well, they don't have the ball.
Actually, I would love if Boruto and Sarada went back in time and they saw what Sasuke was like during the Kage Summon arc, see how they'd react to that.
They're never going to do that. They would never show that. They wouldn't have the balls.
He even says at some point, it's a slight, how should I say, shade. There was this interview, I think it's on Naruto base, which now is anime base. And Kishi says something like, because people were wondering, not so in your face, but it was a subtle question in terms of Sasusaku. How did they get together? How did Sasuke suddenly started, liking Sakura? And he gave this really coded, so to speak, answer, which said that kind of like the real Sasuke wouldn't, but if he has to, he will, because he's kind of like a puppet now. I really want to get that interview once again, but it was clearly a shade at Sasuke, because even Kishimoto recognized that he really wasn't into, but he had to just make Sasuke.
It's like, yeah, I don't know why they're together. They're just happy.
I know. The only thing I can remember that the novel also said Tsunade saying that. Chat. We seem to have lost Chat there. Let's see. Hold on. Let me just to see you. Let's see. Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
Let's see. Okay. We can add to stream. Oh, sorry, Chat. We seem to have lost you there for a second. Anyway, I was just about to say before continuing on with the mangaka for preview off for that. The other thing I've heard about the novel about Sakura is that Tsunade says that her and Sakura and Naruto would not make a good match for each other. Oh, now we've lost Lucky Chi.
I got a question for you guys.
Yeah.
One thing I'm considering doing is once I finish with a series, I'm gonna put all the videos together and just do it all. Do it right there with put them all as one big video in case people want to watch them that way. You will watch all 5 parts of Rise and Fall of Naruto in one video, or if should I include part 6 or in that environment?
Yeah, I think you should, because it shows a somber end to the whole thing. Because
yeah,
that would be great.
Yeah, I would recommend doing that, and possibly for your Bleach and maybe even Avatar or Kingdom Hearts when you finally do all of them. But yeah.
Oh, here's the thing. I've been doing Zelda. I'm 3/4 of the way done Zelda, and I'm if I put all those together, that would be an incredibly long video. But here's the thing about YouTube. YouTube favors longer videos for some reason.
They do.
Yeah, that does seem to happen. But anyway, we'll see. But yeah, so apparently Tsunade doesn't say that Naruto and Sakura would be a good match for each other. That's what I apparently heard in the novel. I think that was from a Naruto.
There's a little bit like that from what I remember, because I remember I read the Sakura novel too. She said at first it wouldn't really work. It'd be something that they gradually build towards over time. That's the gist of what I remember.
I don't know, but I do know that most media was trying to downplay the Naruto-Sakura relationship. Last definitely did that, but hey. But anyway, from what else I can tell from like this Ukiyo Kadachi, from what I'm reading from the, let's see, Boruto Naruto Wiki, is that he's the son of a psychiatrist physician. He apparently developed a strong interest in science and science fiction at a young age. And became a student, and he became a dedicated player of tabletop role-playing games such as Shadowrun and Tokyo Nova. In his career, he wrote articles and replays for various RPGs before becoming a game designer. Eventually, he became a novelist, writing adaptations of various sci-fi animes and video games, as well as screenplays, notably for Macross, Gundam, and Code Geass series. Apparently, for his work on Boruto, he drew inspiration for the science fiction RPGs he grew up with, as well as modern scientific research, hoping to create a setting that fuses a traditional ninja story with cutting-edge technology, which might explain the sci-fi elements that have happened in Boruto. So yeah, it's probably due to his background, and that is why we've gotten chakra cells, see flying kites and all that kind of, let's see, and probably even Naruto's current form being similar to nuclear fusion.
Yeah.
You know what I kind of realized, and it didn't hit me until now, but wasn't there like a giant city like on top of the Hokage statues?
Yes, that was.
Yeah, I don't think we've yet to even explore what that's about.
But anyway, as it was announced that he was stepping down as a writer of the series, Kishimoto was taking over from chapter 52 and onwards. So in Kishimoto's first chapter of the series, we get a bad explanation of like the new mode, but hey. But then again, perhaps maybe that's just a mess of continuing on from
Which kind of, it's
I see a lot of people hitting that on Naruto, like how Naruto didn't say anything, but I'm like, nah, if you read the chapter again, it's really on Kurama, because he's the one who's like, oh yeah, sorry Naruto, I should have told you this earlier, but there's this there's this life or death situation mode that I never bothered telling you about during the war, so
Yeah.
Anyway. Sorry, what?
I want to say something, but I forgot. Just go ahead.
I'm sorry, Chad.
It's okay, don't worry.
Anyway, he's remarked that, let's see, he was contracted to provide the story for the first 13 volumes and expressed gratitude to fans, and said he looked forward to supporting Boruto's continued journey as a reader. Now, do you think that this story is true, that it was only done for like 13 volumes, or do you think there's more to it than this?
It's possible. I'll say that, but I don't know.
Yeah, it is possible, because why not? They probably thought that they would just wrap this up real quick and just go ahead with whatever, but they didn't. And
I mean, I can see it to where the plan is say everything before the time skip is Kodachi, and then second time skip hits and you bring Kishi in. But again, that's just me interpreting things.
Granted, I believe I ended up hearing this rumor from Forever World's channel, but I think it was discussed more in Heaven and Earth about how apparently the author, the writer, Ukiyo was apparently a very unpleasant person to work with, who apparently abused staff and got into constant arguments with the anime studio of how to run the canon story. I'm not sure if this is true or not, but it might be a contribution as to why he is. Let's see why he is there, but why he is like being removed. But I think most people would probably agree that it's for Kishimoto to take over, and
this makes me wonder one thing. Hear me out. So we have Kodachi, right? Who is being fired out. And I wonder why, though, because if it's like this, I wonder if he's like the opposite of Kishi. How should I say it? In terms of being very true to his convictions, no matter people's feelings around him. And so they kind of decided to say bye-bye to him and call back Kishi because he's usually a more, puppy type that won't talk back and stuff like that,
Yeah.
This just popped in my head right now, and I'm wondering if that's the case. Of course, it's just an idea, but
It'd be sad, but funny at the same time. Like,
yeah, I know, ironic a bit.
I do know that either the writer or the artist said they wanted to do 30 volumes of Boruto at least. So if we've got
And
13
how many
volumes,
do we have?
apparently we're on 13 now. We got another. By that logic, we have another 17 volumes to go.
let's check.
Here's the thing: I don't think it's going to make it that far.
Yeah, which probably now gets into my next topic. Let's see. I'm just gonna just share the screen.
Yeah, it's at 13 now. Well, unofficially, it's 13. But
Let's see. As we can see from this, let's see. This, by the way, this is something on Reddit. This is not mine. I'm not using it for profit or anything like that. So, in case the guy says I'm copywriting, I'm not trying to steal his thing. Apparently, the Boruto manga sales have been on decline ever since each volume comes out. Now, the first one here is at its highest peak at 352,000. And it slightly declines to 290,000, which some might say, okay, might be natural. You had people taking an interest, and you're seeing which fans have the interest or not. And then it's like, okay, still slightly low, but still okay, still fine. But then you start getting a more noticeable decline around the 4th to 5th to 6th volumes. Time of the 6th one, it's below 200,000. And then it seems to keep dwindling. And by the time of the 10th and the 11th, it's barely selling 100,000. So it's clear that the volumes have been going down in sales high. Granted, some say that Boruto made this much in its thing, but I'm not sure how accurate this one is. I think from what I'm being told, this is the more accurate one. I'm not sure if this one includes international sales or not, but regardless, whatever the case is, it's clear that Boruto sales have been going down with each volume.
Well, sorry to say it, but no shit, Sherlock. I mean, first of all, there's the aspect of, as I said earlier, of branding. And Kishimoto sadly kind of killed his brand, and the audience won't forget you. I mean, yeah, they might be curious at the beginning and see, because all of us at some point have been, checking up on Boruto to see, out of curiosity, where it leads. At the end of the day, the general consensus I have with everyone is that they're bored with the story. And even I have three, how should I say it, 3 instances where I tried Boruto. I tried it at the beginning because I was curious. I was like, okay, let's see how they try to explain this mess. But even with my curiosity, and I'm a very curious person, I was so bored. So then I just dropped it. Then at some point there was the similarity between the Karma seal and the Byakugo seal. And I had a friend who knew I was, all in with Sakura stuff and symbolism and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, yo, have you seen this in Boruto? And I was like, oh, okay, let's check it. And I saw the chapter, and then I waited for the next number. Nothing. And I was like, okay, I dropped it. Because there's this problem I'm seeing with Boruto. It doesn't follow through to the idea. It doesn't kind of build up one thing now, another thing now, later in the next chapter, and so on and so forth, It just drops the bomb and then completely moves to other thing. Like that previous one hadn't even existed. And to me, it seems like it's all over and nowhere. So it's really easy to just lose interest, especially given the fact that it's a monthly manga.
Lucky Chi and I have both stated that Boruto probably would have benefited more if it was like a bi-weekly manga, like Fairy Tail 100-Year Quest or the My Hero Academia Vigilantes prequel that is currently ongoing.
Yeah, like I feel like if they went the 100-Year Quest route, it probably would have. I don't want to say do better, but
It'd probably get people noticing a bit more because,
yeah.
like, I think some people even struggled with keeping up with Attack on Titan, and I'm not sure about Fullmetal Alchemist. I mean, from as far as I know, most people just love that series.
It's a perfect series.
Monthly mangas, I mean, you just gotta know like the set day it comes out within the month, and then it kind of becomes a habit.
I've kind of figured out when Boruto and Attack on Titan are coming out. Let's see. There's another monthly manga I've been trying to figure out the time thing, but I'll get more to that on another. Let's see, probably after the stream. But anyway, but yeah. So yeah, the Boruto sales have declined with each one, and Boruto moved from Weekly Shonen Jump to V Jump, the game department. Apparently, that is where like spin-off mangas for like video games or card games such as Yu-Gi-Oh, Digimon, Pokemon are published there. Granted, also Dragon Ball Super is there for some reason. I don't know. I don't know why, but apparently this is not a positive sign for a manga that was as big as this, from like a spin-off sequel to like one of the biggest that Shonen Jump ever had. Granted, I also heard somewhere where that mangas in V Jump don't ever get cancelled, so it might also be Shonen Jump stubbornly trying to keep this series going. They can figure something out to make it popular again.
I mean, let's be fair. It's a legacy title. That's the other thing. So it's it'll stay there because of that.
Granted, yeah. Granted, I do know that from what it seems, Naruto currently has sold, as far as we know, 250 million volumes out of the 72 volumes that it has, making it the fourth highest selling manga series of all time. Only beaten by let me just
One Piece.
Let's see. One Piece and Dragon Ball. Let's see, the other manga series is this let's see, this thing called Gogoro 13, which I think is also, let's see, which is a seinen manga. So Naruto is like the third best highest third selling shonen. Well, it's the fourth highest selling manga. It's also the third highest selling shonen. Granted, from what I can tell, this Gogoro 13 is still an ongoing manga since 1968. So it has over 198 volumes, so that's impressive.
Oh, wow.
That is impressive.
One Piece currently has 470 million sales. Probably by the end of it, it will surpass the Harry Potter franchise's 500 million sales. Dragon Ball has 250 to 300 million sales. It's not clear what its exact number is. Gogoro 13 is 280. Naruto is 250. Granted, it's very possible that, let's see, Naruto might become the third highest selling if you just get a few more fans buying 30 million more volumes, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. But you can tell Boruto has only sold over 1 million volumes.
In 5 years.
Yes.
Let's put that in perspective.
Now, of course, it should never be expected that Boruto would ever outsell Naruto.
Granted, but at least half the success, you know?
At the very least.
Given
I mean, there's two factors you could bring into that account. The ending, of course. Well, the backlash from that. I also wonder if it has to do with the fact that they decided to retread the movie plotline for the very start.
If anything, they probably should have done what Dragon Ball did, whenever they did a movie out, and just do the tie-in chapters coming out around the same time as the movie.
Yeah.
So you kind of wasted nearly a year on recapping the movie, but yeah.
10 chapters, at least.
Anyway, continuing on, you'd expect at least, I don't know, maybe Boruto or... Oh, For Life is finally here.
He is?
Yes.
Oh, look who we have.
The prodigal son returns.
More or less.
You been?
Yeah, when it comes to life itself, errands always gets in the way. I
Let's see.
for the latest. I'm still actually, I'm actually not home. I'm not sure how the mic quality is, but I'm actually driving as we speak. Not to
It's pretty
say
good.
I'm looking at a camera. Well, I'm not driving. I'm actually parked. But, I just want to say hey to everyone here. I'm sorry I'm late. I will try to get back home as soon as possible. Hopefully, whatever discussion we have for board. So, so sorry for the lateness.
Boy, I gave you an extra week, and I even told you.
Oh, come on.
And you're still damn late!
It's hard.
Okay. But, the point in this thing is you finally arrived. But anyway.
Yes, I am.
But anyway, For Life, if you're curious about who our other guest here is, it's Retrospective Greg from the Rise and Fall of the Naruto series.
Hi.
Oh, really? Hey,
Yeah.
how's it going?
Did you see it?
I have seen the videos. I thought they were really, really good. It was like a lot of things I like to say and more is I thought it was really well formed. Even your critique on the pairing part, like it doesn't have to be like the idea of like this is my preferable pairing, but it's something that will make sense in the context of a story. That thing, I agree 100%. It's just I thought it was a really well informed video. I haven't seen the Bleach one. I didn't have the time, but I was looking forward to it heavily to watch them. But it's great to see you. Great to meet you.
Hey, yep. Good to meet you, Joe. I don't know how. Like I said, I don't know how the Naruto videos exploded and like why they're my most viewed videos. They just are.
Well, for better or for worse. Sorry.
I'm sorry. You
Go ahead.
Go. Okay. Sorry. you go. I insist. You go.
Okay. No, I just want to say something short to Greg. For better or for worse, Naruto was a global phenomenon. So probably that's the reason these are your most viewed videos.
Anyway, For Life, we're kind of, quite a bit into like midway of the Kishimoto interview thing. But before we get your opinions on some of the stuff we've said, why don't we give us your quick thoughts on the Boruto chapter that came out last month? It's the 52. I believe I've read it, right?
No, actually, to be honest, I have not read the Boruto chapters. I'm actually, I believe, 3 or 4 chapters behind.
Okay.
I took a hiatus from manga for a while. I'm coming back slowly, but I'm like starting with other series. But I haven't yet read Boruto. Though the news about Kishimoto not return, more like entering Boruto's series from this point forward, has me intrigued. It's kind of like like with the whole Samurai 8 things. Like when you hear the announcement, even though if you didn't like Naruto in the end or whatever, it just makes you and it gives you intrigue to see what exactly can he cook up with it. So now I'm actually interested to see how Boruto will change from this point forward, or how it's going to be written from this point forward, because writing is pretty important. We need to see how Kishimoto handled this. We need to see what his story takes from, because when it comes to like giving the ideas, like how Akira Toriyama gave it a storyboard or some pointers for Dragon Ball Super, it may not be the exact same as his initial thoughts or like what his real mindset like goes. Like it's all about like you got a few pinpoint, but you need to know how you're gonna get there, how the destination works out. And Toriyama has said like when he see the manga, he did critique on the art style, like it's something like he would have done better here or there or something like that. We'll see how Kishimoto his viewpoint in terms of narrative. Now we're gonna see how his storyboard was supposed to exploit from here. Though, granted, I haven't read the series for 3 to 4 chapters now, so I don't know how the story goes on. The only thing I got from from a lot of people was the idea that Kyuubi or Kurama somehow knows science and knows something about like yeah, I don't know where did that come from, but whatever whatever it works. I don't know if Kishimoto wrote that chapter though. Was it that chapter or was the next one that's coming up that's going to be?
From what the Naruto Wiki and some of the other articles I've read have said, and Wikipedia said that yes, this was Kishimoto's first chapter, 52.
Okay.
No, from what I understood, from 53, he's gonna actually.
He's gonna be credited as the writer. That's
yeah.
what I heard too.
So it's very
52
possible.
seems to be the last chapter of Kodachi.
That's what I think it is too. Like I feel like Kodachi's last chapter was this one, and Kishi was like just making little minor edits before it went in.
Yeah.
Well, whatever the case was, let's see. It's clear that Kyoto was, Yukio has been replaced. Some allegations of him being abusive to staff workers or something, but we do not sure. Yeah, so that. Other than that, we've been just talking about the Boruto sales, and as we have seen, the sales have gone down for each one. Let's see, and we talked a little bit about the anime's ratings, which seems to be more convenient of the time slot than rather than that. Granted, I'm just about to go on to the international things, because some people think the international thing is what's keeping Boruto up, though I think Namiyushia, I can't remember the Narsaka users, has said that the international sales have at most usually contribute to like 5 or 10% of manga's profits and stuff like that. So I don't necessarily know how much it's keeping it afloat. I mean, granted, stuff like Pokemon and Dragon Ball have like huge followings worldwide, and who knows, Japan may get just as much profit from there as as they do inside their own country. I do know that Pokemon is $100 billion franchise, so there's that.
Yeah.
But that's because it's got like games, trading cards, cartoons, movies, all that stuff. But yeah.
What I want to know is how does Kishimoto involvement with the story now is going to like give any boost to the sales? Because I know people would say like, well, you just have to say this is an original story by Kishimoto, but people need more than that. Sometimes they need like, I want to know if it's literally the writer himself that he's playing as, or he's the artist. Is he doing it? But again, the only thing that I'm having doubts is the fact that his Samurai 8 did not sell well, and the fact it was canceled, which I'm still a little bit puzzled to figure out why it's canceled. I'm not saying it's like, how could you not like this? This is amazing manga. How could you fail us? I'm not saying like that. It's not talking about quality wise, but I'm talking about like loyalty, I guess, from fans, because you have other mangaka works that still sells well because of the name itself. I'm not sure it's because of the time, like how long have you been away that you're no longer that important to these fans. Even I hate to say it that way, but it's how fans sometimes think. Like you have to be 100% loyal. You have to keep working, or we'll just forget you. Kind of like brush aside. It's just how it is.
I do recall that when George Lucas finished the original trilogy of Star Wars, many of his other movies outside of that, such as Labyrinth, Willow, Howard the Duck, were never really as financially successful, and even some of them bombed at the box office. Well, granted, I know Howard the Duck was considered one of the worst movies of all time, but I do know that Labyrinth was regarded as ritzy, and Willow had better reviews and more mixed, really, from critics. But I think Labyrinth was a box office bomb, even though it was directed by Jim Henson, and it was his last film. And it also had David Bowie in, by the way. And Willow was like Lord of the Rings kind of, like, what if George Lucas did Lord of the Rings? And they also had Warwick Davis's first role. lead role thing, and Ron Howard as director. The reason I'm bringing this up is because I actually watched Willow a few days ago. But hey, because there's going to be a Disney. But yeah, so I do know that there are cases when a creator tries something else, the works doesn't do it, and then he comes back. I think that is one factor in. But continue your point for life. Or Sparda3g.
Sorry. That's my point. My point is that it's hard to judge if it's gonna do any boosts or any interest. I mean, it could definitely give some interest for a short brief of time, but in terms of sales, I don't know yet. It didn't do. You look at that and think maybe it's not gonna do any difference for Boruto. And it's weird because you look at other artists, mangaka work. I'm not sure how. What's that series called? Burn the Witch Volume 1. I do believe it did good in terms of like at least the
From
first.
Kubo, yeah.
Kubo, yeah.
Like I don't know how great it did, but I know it did start off really good. So I'm not sure if it has a strong leg to hold
It's
on.
getting its own anime anyway, so that's
Well,
the
anime is already out. The anime is already out.
I believe it's an anime over, and there's a 4-part chapter miniseries. I believe that's what it was.
Yeah.
It's a movie. It's so from what I've heard, that's a movie, and I think Crunchyroll cut it down into 3 little episode specials.
Fair enough. But who knows? We'll probably get those in DVDs and Blu-rays. It's probably next year.
Probably.
Yeah, but you look at other series that's worked. You look at other series that's worked by familiar mangaka, like
Fairy Tail is one that comes to mind. Yeah.
Hiromashima, Eden Zero. Whether you like the series or not, it is popular and it's getting an anime and a game apparently. So.
Not to mention, he's also got Fairy Tail 100-Year Quest going on at the same time.
Right. But the thing is, Hiromashima didn't take a long break. He only took 6 months or maybe near 12. I don't remember, but it wasn't that long. It wasn't that long.
But you know what?
To end it.
Fairy Tail. I'm double checking. So Fairy Tail ended.
Then you have the manga.
2017.
July. Yeah. So it ended in July of 2017. And then Eden Zero, I think, started in June of 2018. Yeah, so
nearly a year, but
yeah,
still, it's he didn't take that long of a break, and he was still involved in maybe the social media probably helped. I'm not really sure, but
I think
what helped there. We talked about it with Lucky Chi. Sorry to interrupt. In the Narasaku forums. Basically, what it helps the most, I believe, is and why it doesn't work in the case with Kishi is that Hiro is a pretty straightforward person.
He is,
and he's not gonna, lead you on. So at the end of the day, he just shits on you, like Kishimoto did.
Yeah,
that's why I think Kishimoto's work didn't work out in the end. Didn't have the sales necessarily to just because as a brand he kind of killed himself with the move he made with Naruto's end, and it wasn't necessarily the end itself, but think about the interviews, what he said about Sakura, what he said about Hinata, how he replaced Sakura, he agreed to replace Sakura with Hinata and all that crap. He had basically zero respect for his own work, himself, after all, because his work, is a representative of himself, and ultimately his audience. And people won't forget that.
Well, that's Sorry, go on. Retrospective, Greg.
So that's why I think that he will eventually, when Boruto does end. Whenever all that ends, they're going to have to come clean with what actually happened. I think they really are going to have to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, yes. I do think another contributing factor is Kishimoto continued to work on Naruto a bit before actually leaving, other people to work on it, such as the Naruto Gaiden, the Boruto.
Yeah, but he was never really gone, because if you guys remember, he is listed as a supervisor.
So there's also that contributing factor. So it's possible that for working on like Naruto franchise to an extent, also kept him delaying for his work. But yeah, but let's see. But yeah, it's stuff like that that may have also contributed. Just
You and
make
I talked about this too, Blue. Like he's been on board as supervisor, but so I'm at the very least, I think he knows to an extent what's been happening with the story, but you know.
I don't know. It could also be a similar thing to what happened with George Lucas, where he was said to be a creative consult for the sequel trilogy, but it was becoming more clear that he didn't really have that much involvement, especially with the marketing with The Force Awakens. Though I find it ironic that by 2017, given the mixed reaction to The Last Jedi, we ended up having many fans that used to bash George Lucas for the prequel trilogy, wanting him back over Disney. But hey, let's see. Hindsight is 2020 on that, but yeah, that's just a little comment. One thing I do find interesting about Kishimoto taking over is that I think this is the first time it's ever really happened with a manga series where a writer is being replaced by a different one. I mean, I think it's happened a few times when an artist has died and then another one had to take over, like the Pokemon Adventures manga. But I think there's been other cases where the manga High School of the Dead, its author died and the manga got cancelled. It's not continued on and all that stuff. Much to James's sadness, so I think he's trying to find out which pair is going to become endgame for that one. But anyway, it's time to get into how the fans reacted, both in Japan and outside of Japan.
Japan was burning down villages. Let's be fair. I'm joking.
Wait, reaction to what? To Kishimoto coming into the work, or
Yeah, Kishimoto coming into work. From what I can tell,
reaction from that.
From what I can tell from fans in Japan, they're not entirely enthusiastic. I think some are a bit worried about, about this becoming a normal trend in Japan where, a creator gets kicked off and they just replace them with another writer for more profitable reasons rather than having creative vision. Because one thing mangas usually have over, comic books is that mangas are mostly just one creator's vision or two creators' vision as they're writing and drawing a manga, doing all the work, doing their own story. While with comic books, the writer gets replaced quite often, and after various publications. And not to say there's not any good creativity. I mean, like Stan Lee and his partnerships with Steve Ditko and all that stuff, and even some like Chris Claremont for the X-Men, and even like the original creator or the DC characters, such as Bob Iger or Joe Schumacher for Superman. Bigger for Batman, but yeah. And even I think Wonder Woman also had Wonder Woman I think had three creators in a sense. Male writer and his wife and his I know. I think the history of Wonder Woman's creators are interesting, but I'm not going to get into much details because I don't know much about it really. So that's one thing with comics, but with manga, it's usually the same creative writer and artist or duo to the end thing. Granted, you even have some mangakas lasting over 40 years with the same creative team. It's kind of just crazy when you think about it, given the work schedule some of these guys must endure. But yeah. But so yeah. So I think there's a worry that the creative integrity of manga or of the manga industry might be a bit more imploded if this sort of happens. Another reaction I've seen is that many of them are worried about the portrayal of female characters in what's going to happen to the female characters in Boruto, since, well, everyone knows how bad the female characters ended up with Kishimoto towards the end. I think that's another factor. Now, granted, I don't.
Nonsense.
Granted, I don't know what. Granted, I'd hardly say what the female portrayal of characters in Boruto is all that. Somewhat better in some ways, both better and worse. Because on one hand, you did have Sarada being more of a team player and stuff, and you had more teamwork compared to what the old Team 7 did. But on the other hand, you also had that infamous scene in chapter 12.
Well, and then as far as the anime goes, you got a Sumire who's got a better motivation behind everything than.
I suppose, but I think you know what I mean by the chapter 12. It's like, let's see, one thing I will give Kishimoto, he never really sexualized any of his female characters that much, really, except maybe a few scenes with, like, maybe Tsunade at first, and the only time with Hinata was in that Road to Ninja pretty special Omega chapter.
I heard Studio Pro wanted to do more with Hinata, but Kishimoto actually said, no, we're not doing that.
So, in other words, Studio Pro was tamed with their Hinata fanboyingism, and it was still bad. Could you imagine what they could do with Free Reign?
Well, yeah. Here's what I don't get is like why did he put if that's true, why did he put a stop to it there, but then but just give them the okay to do the last?
I have no idea.
That's a good question.
True, but if we take into consideration, I mean, depends when the last was made, was start, its production. I mean, started, because if it would have been around, his father's passing and everything else. If he would have been around the time when he just hit that rock bottom and I don't care about it anymore, it makes sense.
I recall a similar situation where I've heard that during the time of the return of the Jedi movie, the Star Wars team was getting a bit exhausted. I think Lucas was going through a divorce at the time, so I think sometimes your ending can be emotionally affected. Granted, I'd still say Return of the Jedi was pretty good, solid end to this trilogy, but hey, compared to what Naruto's ending was, so there might be also.
I mean, probably he said no, and then if we are going to take those rumors I wrote about on my blog as well, that said that at some point the editors and stuff started a negative campaign on Sakura, and they started showing Kishimoto how hated she is outside of Japan and how loved Hinata is. He probably just trusted everything they said and kind of gave in, because that's what it kind of looked like.
Yeah, if I was ever told one of my characters were hated, I'd probably look into what is it, how true is this, and why is it hated, and what can I do to improve? Because
here's what I've heard is that apparently when Kishimoto's assistant, who's the artist of Boruto, I think, what's his name?
Kishimoto?
Kishimoto?
No, Kishimoto.
Here's what I heard. He basically had the he was basically after that interview came out where Kishimoto talked about this, they're like, what's he talking about? He was like, and he started talking back, and he was stunned into silence when they told him the reason people hated Sakura was because you failed to have her give her Sasuke, and he was like, oh crap.
Wait, really?
Really?
That's what I heard. I heard that.
Huh.
I mean, come on, he cannot be that.
Yeah, no.
Nah. No. It's not that I refuse to believe it.
If that's really the case, then okay, Kishi.
But think about how he wrote the story. Up to a point, at least. Up to Pain Arc. He showed her kind of, getting over Sasuke. He showed her prepared to kind of take on Sasuke. Because when they meet in part 2, she kind of wants to punch Sasuke, but what's his name? Yamato kind of, just comes in and stops her and everything. But he kind of started building her to be more emotionally prepared to take on Sasuke and kind of, just dropped his love for him. But then he just turns 100, 180.
Granted,
and-
part of me does sometimes wonder if, let's see, chapter 540, the infamous, let's see, oh, Sakura still loves Sasuke thing, and the 10th thing was supposed to be, let's see, an implication that she was starting to question her feelings, but I think everyone took it the wrong way of, oh, still like hatred for her, just tenfold again, but hey, oh, you're back for life. But who knows? But anyway.
Yeah, that sounds weird. I mean, really, think about, if I'm correct, Kishi does have a daughter.
Mm-hmm.
He's a
I believe
parent. And I don't think that as a parent he would encourage something like that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I think no father would ever probably want their daughter to end up in an abusive relationship, which is why you've been seeing probably more parents speak out at certain relationships portrayed in movies lately. But yeah, I think that's why you also had people complaining about Twilight as well back in the day. It's like, no way do we
I'm
want.
not sure if you have. I'm not sure if anybody mentioned it because I was away for a second. I apologize. But I could have sworn there was somebody made a top 10 video about an awkward couple and Sasaki was there. I never got to see that video, but I was like, huh, that's kind of funny.
I believe that there's.
I think by any chance.
I believe James has told me that there's a, let's see, a top 10 list of fans in Japan who want couples to divorce, and Nagino and Sasusaku were in the top of that list.
I wonder why.
That was a long time ago. I remember that.
But
I
yeah,
remember that. That was very funny, to be honest.
It was.
but anyway,
But there's a recent video. But there was a recent video. I believe it was recent. All I remember it was in the main board, the main dashboard, and it was like it had two images. It was some other anime I don't think I ever seen, and then the other one was Sasasaku one. Like you have
Dude,
Sakura
that's the
sitting. It's they use the Boruto image. Let me see if I can find that. It's very funny how I stumbled upon. I was like, huh, that's weird recommendation, but okay.
let's see. But yeah. Anyway, let's see. Going back to like the fans' reaction, I know that. Let's see. So I think that those were the two main concerns I've heard about Japan. Let's see, such as questioning how this would affect the manga industry if writers can be replaced. Let's see, and I think lack of trust of Kishimoto, particularly in the portrayal of female characters. So there's stuff like that. Granted, I have, let's see, no, granted, people like For Never World went on, I think from this video went on. You had your chance to buy it when Ikimoto is, and the manga's been great, but you're not, let's see, doing it now. But it's like, then again, I don't think For Never World quite gets Japan's reaction. So ending, but okay.
he's one of the reasons this manga went to shit anyway. Because I'm sure his and Sawyer's videos were among the ones that were shown to Kishi.
Probably also Double 4 anime, and I heard maybe Code Provider, but who knows? Maybe King of Lightning. I don't know, King of Lightning, I don't think he really cared about ships, but he definitely disliked certain characters, and he definitely likes things, but, well, granted, he was a massive Madara Uchiha fanboy, if you look at his videos. But yeah, I think, but yeah, he's not into Boruto. I think he only ever reviewed the first chapter, and he dropped up to it afterwards. And I think of his fairy tale rants, he said the only reason he kept on with Naruto was because it was ending. Otherwise, he would have dropped it like he did Fairy Tail after a certain point. But yeah, I don't think King of Lightning cares much for ships when it comes to Naruto.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We were talking, in the context of ships and Hinata fanboys, and Foreigner World and Sawyer were like on the top there. And I was like, whoa.
Mm-hmm. Also, I think Double 4 anime thing, but yeah. So anyway, but as for we talked about the Japan's fan base reaction. Let's go with the more international. From what we've seen, depending on which section of the fan base, and you're either very enthusiastic, somewhat interested, or just concerned, or just meh about it.
Yeah, well, if you look at the South Sokol fan base, they're happy that, from what I saw on my Twitter, because for some reason, Twitter has a lot of South Sokol fans on my feed, because I follow people who follow people who,
Like
and
Sakura.
yeah, and their hiding stuff doesn't work that well. And from what I saw, they're pretty excited about this news, but I was like, how? I mean, are you
sorry.
happy with? Yeah, it's okay. I cannot to this day understand how they're happy with Gaiden. Really.
I mean, Gaiden was sort of like a sort of middle finger to like, let's see, as a 100% confirmation that Sakura is Sakura's doing. Anyway, go on.
No, it's okay, but just the way he is known to treat the ship. I mean, if he would have treated Narasaku that way, I would have been like, go ahead, chew yourself, whatever. I don't need you. But people are so naive sometimes, really.
Well, let's see. This is the same fandom that seems to think that did not give up on, let's see, Sakura after Sasuke tried to kill her twice. Granted, maybe I was one of them at some point, though I had my doubts until like 540 and then 615. But then immediately moved to the Narasaku fandom once I actually knew what those fandoms were like and actually got the Narasaku perspective. But hey, that's just me. I admit it. I used to be one of those fans, but
I used to be one of those fans. I think that's the problem with some
the
of
anime.
the anime portrayed a totally different story, and at least in Sakura, in terms of Sakura's and Hinata's characters, there's just stark change in mannerism and everything. They portray Sakura as this horrendous monster who bullies poor Naruto, while Hinata is just this angel who comes in Naruto saving. Because I know there's this picture, I even saved it. I was answering a Tumblr question a few days ago about this very aspect. And I don't know from what episode or stuff, because I just dropped Naruto at some point, but I saw that there was this picture where Sakura, was shaking Naruto, and then Hinata comes and tells Sakura to calm down.
Oh yeah, I
And
believe
like,
that was the time travel arc.
yeah, and it's just, for the love of God, stop with this shit. Since when? Hinata didn't have courage back then to talk to anyone. Can someone?
Here's my problem. Here's my question about that. Is how did the Japanese fans react to that? Like, I'd love to know.
Same.
From my understanding, well, the anime is. Let's see. Well, the animes do determine a bit of popularity. I do, at least, from my understanding, in Japan, manga sales always outweigh over anime viewership or even anime DVD sales. So, from my understanding, the Japan fans usually are more invested in the manga than they are in the animes.
No, but what I think Greg was
like the anime is supposed to. I'm sorry for interrupting, chat.
That's okay. Go ahead.
I was just saying that like the anime is like mainly there to promote the manga too. That's the other thing.
So,
but sorry, I think what Greg was actually asking is how the Japanese fandom reacted to that time travel thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do not know, but I assume they probably reacted a bit negatively, or they just didn't care.
Didn't they announce this? I'm sorry.
Go on.
Go.
Didn't they announce this in Jump Fest 2019 one?
Yeah, it was the time travel arc was for the 20th anniversary of Naruto.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but it was that event. Yeah, I remember now. It was that event, that 20th anniversary thing.
Yeah,
I think that was that event because I remember they held an event, and I think you could live stream it back then.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody remember that?
I possibly, but let's see. But I do not really know.
Don't.
I do know Chatte. I do know Chatte did do an article once on how the fans reacted to supposed this popularity, and they did not find it happy. They did not like it very much. So I assume it might be a similar thing to that. But Who knows? But yeah.
Yeah, my article was on the
I'll
left.
tell you-
I don't know anything about
I'll
Boruto.
tell you one thing.
Say it.
One thing I'll tell you, it was a big missed opportunity for a lot of things, but that's another story.
You're right.
Oh yeah.
It was such a
yeah.
underwhelming time travel arc. It was just there to solve. It was just there for the obvious. Yes, there's a motorcycle right there. Anyway, it was a. It was just used like it was
was
somewhat
truly
used the
pointless.
same. Well, yeah, especially the part where the old cliche way of like, okay, these past people know what just happened in the future, or know these guys are for the future. How do we solve this? Oh, just have an ability to erase your memory. Duh. It's like
And
Really?
since
It's
when
cheap.
Sharingan
It's cheap,
can
lazy, and
pointless. And since when Sharingan can erase memories? I mean, what?
of
Why did you
course,
tell me
of course,
before?
Sharingan would do that. It could do
I
anything.
mean, Jesus, they ass pull
It's,
some
it's,
things.
it's the Santa Claus eyes. If we're going Christmas spirit in this one,
Yeah, true.
you can do anything. Grant gift, erase your memory, fly.
Jesus Christ.
It has too
Summon a
much
puppy?
possibilities. It's ridiculous.
So anyway,
Yeah.
where was I? Oh yes, the Sasusaku fandom. Let's see. So far, have remained positive, but they seem to forget that all the things that Kishimoto done to make their pairing so despised, and to an extent, the character was so despised. So who knows what is going to thing? Perhaps they're hoping that Kishimoto will give Sakura and Sasuke more screen time, but together
That's the
somehow,
general consensus.
No,
somehow I'm not so certain. Who knows?
that's not gonna
And I'm
happen.
like, have you seen the guy? Really?
I mean, the guy still doesn't have them kiss. I mean, granted, apparently they kissed in a novel. And apparently also it's a novel where Sakura actually finally learns when the Uchiha clan massacre happened and why Sasuke went all psycho in the Akatsuki. Let's see.
Oh,
Which is
that
always,
happened in
and
real
apparently
life?
yeah. Apparently she's also told at the same time Sadara is told, so she's been married for him for like supposedly at least 12 years.
And she doesn't know. Dude,
And she
this.
didn't know.
Oh,
That's so dumb. Oh my god.
I
oh
mean,
my god. No, I cannot, for the love of God, understand. Sorry to interrupt, Blue. I cannot understand, for the love of God, the so-called logic of. Because if you think about it, the novels don't connect with the Gaiden thing at all.
I just want to say I gotta go now, but I was talking with you guys.
okay. It's been fun having you, Retrospective Greg.
I'll come back for more.
Yeah.
Been a lot of
Before
fun.
you go, I believe you said that eventually you think Naruto will be rebooted at some point, right?
Yeah, that's what I think they're going to do. Is that after Boruto ends, like wait a few years, and they're probably going to do like a reboot of Naruto. Like that's because they're going to realize that they're going to try to go back to like part 1, I think, and try to just reboot it. Because one thing I'd love to see them do is like instead of actually like after the Land of Waves arc, actually show Team 7 go on more missions together before the Chunin exams.
Yeah. Look, granted,
That'd be
I'm
great.
hoping it'd be a different studio than Periot.
Well, that'd be nice, but let's not expect miracles.
Yeah.
Cool.
But anyway,
Depends on
thank you
which
for
channel
thank you for being on here, Retrospective Greg.
No
You're more than
problem.
welcome to come for future streams, and I'm sure if you want, I can try and get you more into contact with Lucky Chi about possibly doing some podcasts he might do.
Yes, sir.
That would be great.
Uh-huh.
There.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Anyway.
Therefore.
Let's see. Yeah, but I did tell him that this stream would likely last 1 to 2 hours. Granted, I may have delayed. I may have made it longer than intended to try and get 4Life to join. But hey. But anyway.
My apologies.
But hey, it's nice that we finally got the chance to interact with Retrospective Greg.
Yeah.
Yes,
But-
I agree.
It's retrospect.
Yeah. Since well, we all love his Rise and Fall of Naruto series. But anyway, let's go to the other fans internationally. Does anyone know how the Narashina fandom has reacted?
I don't know.
I don't know either. For them, it's like whatever, as long as Narhina got canon, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because they
Granted,
never really cared about Kishi, truth be told.
yeah, true. Granted, I do want. The only thing I'm wondering is that are they going to be upset if Naruto dies and they can no longer have any of their precious possible Narahina moments? Granted,
It's
they
not
might end
like
up
they
getting.
ever had.
The only like if Naruto dies and we get any moment of Narahina, it'll be like flashback stuff. Let's be fair.
Yeah. Granted, I do wonder if they will be very judgmental of how they make Hinata react to Naruto's supposed death. So like, ooh, she should be more caring and all that stuff. But I will find it funny if Kishimoto has Sakura more disturbed by Naruto dying than Hinata.
Then what if, no, hear me out. What if, remember when he says he doesn't want to die with regrets?
Mm-hmm.
And you know how Kurama says that now it's not the time to think about anything else and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and regrets or stuff like that. For a moment, I gotta admit, I'm probably thinking way too much into this, but for a moment I thought, what if he dies? And what if, as he dies, he says that his one true regret was not confessing to Sakura?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, kind of like with the Jiraiya and Tsunade. I could see that.
You know, so that would be, man.
I believe they will explode if that happens.
I mean, if you ask me, that's a nice parallel to Jiraiya, and in that sense.
Yeah, but they'd never really do it. But let's see.
I don't think he has the balls though.
Kishi could do it. I could see that. I could see him doing it, but
Of course, because Naruto was supposed to be the one to confess and get the girl at the end, but nope. Fuck you Narahina fans screwed that up. Anyway, so I'm not sure about any of the neutral pairing fans. Funny enough, I ended up actually encountering at least someone that used to be into Naruto, who from my comic book shop, when he was buying the Dragon Ball merchandise, and he was looking at these pop limited edition of Sasuke and the Boruto timeline. He said he would consider buying it if it wasn't for the Boruto thing, as he hates Boruto. I ended up having quite a bit of a conversation about how the alien parasites, all that stuff ruined, how the sci-fi thing, all that stuff is ruined, and it's a
series. Going to a sci-fi thing where Naruto was spiritually whatever thing, it's the biggest crap they could do with the series.
And he doesn't really care much for like the writer thing. He just wants the series to end and put it out of its misery and thing. So I think this is what most probably former fans of Naruto of the Naruto franchise probably feel. I'm not sure about maybe some of the casual fans might get a slight interest in it. But I don't think it's enough to boost Boruto's sales to like the levels at what Naruto used to be.
No. Think about it, makes about 10% of Naruto. I mean, it doesn't even have, at most, let's say it doubles its success. It's gonna be at 20% of Naruto used to be. So however you take it, it's just not gonna get there.
To be honest, I expected like I always expected like a spin-off of Naruto would have made at least 30 million volume sales, regardless if it's like monthly or weekly, because it was like Naruto, but it's barely made 1 million. Heck, I think when you look at other monthly manga like Attack on Titan, it's managed to do over 100 million volume sales, and even like Fullmetal Alchemist, I think, has a high number of sales. I just can't remember what the sales were.
But I mean, Attack on Titan, let's be fair, like that one really blew up thanks to the anime. That's where
I possibly, but yeah. Anyway, now the one interaction I want to talk about is the Narusaku fandom. From what I can see, it's very mixed. Some have no faith in Kishimoto, like I think some of them people.
You know what? Sorry to interrupt. You know what's better to put in perspective here?
What?
Old fandom versus new fandom, because the fandom is not the same fandom.
No,
because the Narusaku fandom, the old fandom, kind of like just dropped it. And there are a few of us here and there, like me, you guys, Pumi, but we're sticking it in our corner. Then there are these new fans which are kind of like similar to what Narhina used to be, sadly, not proud of that. I'm not proud of what the Narasaku fandom has become, but anyway. And so yeah, I think that's very important to mention in the context, because it's not the old Narasaku fandom.
Most of them have even moved on to fanfics and all that stuff. Like me and you, Chat, are working on the Narsak project ourselves, but hey, let's see with like other
But
fellows.
yeah, but we're just a part of it. I mean, think about even narsaku.com, the forum, how many people we used to have there, and
It's
we
not as
also
active
had,
as it used to be.
yeah.
Granted, I have, let's see, granted, Retrospective Greg, he tried to get on the Heaven and Earth forums, but for some reason they wouldn't let him sign up, because when he tried to answer the Team 7 question, you know, that one in the thing, it always comes to some sort of error.
I think it's a problem with the forum itself, because I also had someone on my blog asking me about the same problem, and I know I told somewhere on the forum as well that they have a problem, but I don't know.
And from what I can tell, this problem can only be fixed by the original editor, the original like owner of the site, but I think Smitter has not been seen in like years, but no, no. So I think I've been told that he or she has been meaning to come back and re-update the forms, but at the moment
That
it
would be
seems
nice.
It would.
in a sort of
To give it a
stalemate
fresh
where,
look.
from the looks of it, it's in a bit of a stalemate where only most of the old users can comment on, and most of the new ones can only appear as guests and looking at what people have said. That might be a problem with the site, because I think from what it seems, the site has gone a lot more, guests as of late. I think that's been commented on.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I think many of them, I think the reason we haven't got many new users because they haven't had a chance to log in and say their thoughts and comments and stuff. So it's probably not as active as it could be. But yeah, I think many of the new Naraka fans are being a bit maybe perhaps naive into thinking stuff can happen. Now, personally, I'm a bit optimistic that maybe someday we might see what Kishimoto will do with his proper ending. But I don't think
I have that certain that bet with I'll Never Give Up on the Narasaku forums, that I said that if Kishi does Narasaku, somehow he magically gets it canon or whatever, I'm buying him a drink.
Yeah. Granted, I do not think this will happen while Boruto is currently ongoing, because it is a Naruhina project, to be honest, a Naruhina/Hinata project. I don't think they'll do it while it's going on. The only thing I can think of for Narasaku to possibly happen during Boruto's timeline is if they somehow decide to do what Fairy Tail once did with like the Elseworld thing, where you had Boruto's crew travel to in a parallel universe, where instead of all those,
Boruto can be the parallel universe. That's the thing.
where they go to one universe, which finds out they're not their parents, they're not born, nor have their parents got together. But instead, all these different couples have happened instead, particularly like Narasaku.
Yeah, but that would be I don't know. For me, I think the thing is that Kishimoto, even as the series is built now, he still left a little open door with this, because it can really be an infinite Tsukuyomi dream.
Fair enough.
But the thing is, does he have the balls to do that, or he doesn't? That's what it's about in the end. But
We'll
I don't think. Yeah.
We'll just have to wait and see what happens with Boruto before we can have anything. We'll see what in the next few chapters before then we get a conclusion. But go on.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. He kind of can turn it up, because if he leaves this as the way it is, and makes Narsaku canon in a parallel universe, it's not enough. Because
No.
this would mean that the story he built is kind of it's not different. You know, how is it different making it in another parallel universe since your original universe showed it this way?
Mm-hmm.
This
But yeah.
would only prompt the Narhina in Sasaku fandoms to say, see, we were always right. You are the ones who get your pairing in a dream world.
But who knows? But yeah, I doubt that. Let's see. But yeah, at the moment, I don't think we will get anything Naosaku possibly until maybe after Boruto's finished. But for the time being, I am not gotten my hopes up. But yeah, but like most
Oh, I
Naruto,
have.
but most of the old school Naosaku fans do not really have any hopes for the Boruto manga series or.
The old ones, no. The new ones, to me, most of them seem like kids who kind of, as I said, act like the Narhina and Sasaku fandom do, and they have this naivety about them, believing that somehow Kishi will magically make things right. But oh well, poor summer children.
Now, granted, of course, there have been franchises that went down to a bad end and then eventually got back on track. I think, like, me and Lucky Chi were discussing this a few weeks back with the Amazing Spider-Man comics, where after one more day, it went in a direction that neither him or I liked, but
I'm going to state what I stated then. I dropped the comics for almost 7 years without touching Spider-Man again. Up until that storyline came out. I was like, whew, okay. Good
yeah. See, granted, there were some things that probably got our interest, like, let's see, for Lucky Chi, it was Spider Island. For me, it was Spider-Verse. And then for both of us, it ended up being Renew Your Vows, in which a parallel universe where, let's see, Peter and MJ were together and had a kid, and they became a spider hero team. Who knows? I would probably take a look if, let's see, it's similar to that, but with Naosaku. But other than that, but yes, at the moment, I don't really have much faith currently. I'll probably, like I said, I'll probably have to wait until, I've said this so many times, probably Boruto. But yeah, I do think most of these Naosaku fans are probably a bit young and a bit ready to brawl, like maybe what the old Naosaku fans might. I'm not sure what the old Naosaku fans were like at first because I wasn't there at the beginning of the ship wars. I know what they were like towards the end, but I don't know what they were before. Like,
I can tell you the general consensus, at least for this group we have, is that, dear Lord, just don't, Kishimoto, don't try to touch Narsaku ever again after what you did.
Yeah.
at least not
Who can
one.
blame us?
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, moving on to the next bit. You still there for life out of curiosity?
Yes, I am.
Let's see. What do we think Kishimoto will do? We've probably talked a little bit about this, but is there anything specific we think, given what Kishimoto has done with Naruto? What do you think, and maybe Samurai, if we've read that? Do you think he'll do anything similar to those two mangas? Because I think there is one concern is he's just going to repeat what Naruto did.
I'll say this. I think he'll probably do what he did with Samurai 8 versus how he handled things with Naruto. That's what I think.
So you think you just get Boruto and Sadara together or something and make him as like a Narusaku 2.0?
Something along those lines.
It's a mix because it's not only Narsaku 2.0, it's Narsaku and Narsasu.
Yeah,
So,
you've got a blend of the two ships.
Now, of course, let's see, as we know from our own experiences with both the Narusaku fandom and other fandoms, we don't, let's see, that have been affected by the ending, such as Sasukain and, let's see, Narusasu. We don't want we don't want the...
yeah, I don't want. This would be like, look, I buy this thing and they give me a totally different one, and I'm like, imagine I buy the, I don't know, let's say iPhone X versus X, and they gave me XR or whatever.
Mhm.
But no, I buy the X. I want the X. I don't care about your XR.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like this, you know.
But yeah. What about you, For Life? What do you expect Kishimoto will do?
I expect him to reintroduce Sumuri. I think that's how you say her name. And
Sumuri,
make
yeah.
that canon.
Tsunami is already in the manga. Heck, she's currently in the current arc in the research
Yeah,
lab.
she's present.
Yeah.
There.
Oh, she's present again. I remember last seeing her in the laboratory with that guy doing those mechanical arms and legs or whatever, what have you.
Yeah.
And she pretty much. I mean, like in the manga, she pretty much explained there, but in the anime, they actually show you what made her go there, which you actually see it for yourself. But point is, I remember by the time they were going to not conclude that arc, but when they're going to leave the lab, she was talking to Sarada about like, what do you think about Boruto? So I was like, I think she said I pretty much she said I like him, and Sarada was like, what? So there you go, you got your seed planted. Now you're good to go. but I doubt that's gonna happen because I think the idea is just trying to make like, hey, I could have made Naruto a Sasuke because I'm not into that program. So the best thing I could do is have their offspring to do that part. I think that's
I'm
the
gonna
idea.
laugh if that doesn't happen and it's bored turns to I'm gonna be like, wow, so we pulled the card.
Joke's on you.
Yeah, so
You thought wrong.
yeah, I would say for Naruto Saku shippers or else on Moti shippers with Naruhina, don't get your hopes up for that of being Narusaku 2.0 if that's the case, because the old Narusaku fandom got screwed. The old school Narusaku fandom got screwed. You might as well have that if you're getting your hopes up on that. But hey,
I mean, for me it was clear. I said the last straw for me is the last. Ironically.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
when I saw what he did, it's just not trusting you ever again, Kishimoto.
See, that's the thing for me too. Like, because people asked my opinion on the ending. I said, look, I don't have any qualms with Narihina, but Sasusaku was like the biggest. I don't even want to talk about that. But then once I saw the last, I was like, really? Like, that's how we get them together? Is like, oh, let's genjutsu it.
I do think. Let's see. Some Narusaku fans.
Irony.
I do think some of us.
I was saying that the irony of it, because Narhina, the old fan base, I don't know what's left of it or anything, we're like, you're dreaming about this, you're seeing this, it's not happening in the manga. How does Narhina get canon? Through a genjutsu. Talk about karma.
Right.
Anyway, let's see. Let's see. What was I going to say? Damn, I've forgotten what I was going to say. Oh yeah. Anyway, on to the next bit. Let's see. Granted, we kind of talked about this with to see what we think Kishimoto will do, and even how fans react outside of Japan. And I was going to ask for like next bit was any hope for something to happen for Narusaku, but we kind of addressed that. But let's move more on to the second part. Let's see, or possibly Sakura as a character. Let's see, Sakura as a character. Do we think Kishimoto will do anything interesting with her? Because we do know that the Boruto manga earlier was teasing. We'll see how Byakugo sealed in the Sage of Six Paths and Tsunade's return. But you think, let's see, he might end up doing something with the character, possibly outside of shipping or anything like that. Maybe finally explore the Sage mode, or maybe her elemental abilities, or maybe even Genjutsu. Do you think we'll actually get to see anything of that, or you think she'll just be on the sidelines as usual?
It's kind of like what I said earlier. If he takes the same approach that he gave Anne in Samurai 8, maybe. But if he's going to what happened with Naruto, yikes.
Particularly late part 2.
Yeah. So if he's going the route with how he handled Anne before the series got canceled, then I'd be like, sure, it's no big deal. We gotta see.
Yeah, I don't trust the guy, so I don't know.
Mhm.
Or because
I mean,
sorry, even in Boruto, yeah, they teased that part, but it's only being shown through Boruto.
I do know that in the
No.
anime, Sakura recently had a sparring match with Sadara for that latest anime arc of that.
Can you really call that a sparring match? I
Yeah,
saw that scene, and it's so, man, it's an offense. It's an offense that at everything Sakura stood for and what Tsunade taught her, and what she learned from Tsunade. All they did is show Sakura throwing some punches. Nothing about her evasion skills, nothing about, her timing skills and stuff like that, when and how she builds the chakra and everything. They do get a mention that when Sarada says that she cannot copy her mother's chakra control, but there was no variety on those moves.
I would say it's definitely not as good as where that. Let's see a fight against that filler fight thing they did with the Shishua Chia clone thing that Orochimaru created.
Who needs that when we had the Sasori fight?
Yeah, of
Really,
course. That is still nothing compared to that. I mean, granted, I might have gotten really hyped over that anime filler edited scene of the Naruto Gaiden, but then again, I was probably in a desperate mode of like some soccer action. But if I want some soccer action outside of the manga, I'd rather watch the early Naruto movies and the Shippuden movies where she does get to take part in some action, because they did some creative things with her there. And even maybe some of the early Shippuden fillers, such as that fight against that, Foob, one of those, one of those Land of Fire nationalists group.
I don't know.
From the
I
Sora
cannot
arc.
remember.
Let's see,
I
because
cannot remember. It's been a long time, and
I did
usually I
recently,
used to skip fillers.
but yeah, it's one of the only few fillers I actually like. But hey, that's just me. But yeah,
Well,
mostly if I want to go to action, I'd rather just look at for Sakura, the sorcery fight, maybe a little bit of
you
the
had everything there. You had variety. You had tactics. You had action. You had everything you wanted. You had the real ninja stuff, not
piece.
just throwing punches with, with a tactic behind them.
Yeah,
No, they were just whatever.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's okay.
The only other thing I can think of is I sometimes might look at the extended anime stuff that they did with the Naruto and Sakura versus Kakashi Bell test in part 2. But other than that, yeah. It's like at the moment I'm a bit skeptical, because after all, the only characters that actually do stuff in the manga so far in terms of action have been Naruto, Sasuke, and Boruto for the most part. Sometimes the rest of the new Team 7, and maybe one or two of the side characters, but that's been about it. Mostly due to its monthly manga pacing, but hey. But yeah. Anyway. Now, I think we've kind of discussed this a bit throughout the thing, but do we think the series will get better? And I think we've all said that we don't really believe so, not with the mess that Boruto has shoved itself in. It's dug too deep. Granted, we have to risk. Who knows? Maybe the action might get better. I'm not sure. I mean, granted, the art style is still the same. I do think. One hope I am hoping for is that with Kishimoto coming back, perhaps they'll change Sada's outfit to back what he originally designed it up for the manga, so we no longer have to get those stupid leg moments again.
That's the saving grace for the anime, is that they actually kept her original design. I'll give the anime that.
Yeah. And got rid of some of the more uncomfortable lines that she ended up asking.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the personality they gave her in that Bandits arc was like, this is something that that you would give to a young adult or teenager, not a 12-year-old girl. 12 to 13-year-old. You still there for life?
He's still there, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think I had to. I mean, but yeah. Anyway, so how much longer do we think Boruto's going to go on for?
I mean, if it's intended for its 30 volume run, and we're right now finishing up volume 13, let me see real quick.
5 to 7 years.
Let's see what the track record's been on chapters.
Let's see. I do know that some of the chapters got delayed due to COVID this year.
Mm-hmm. List of volumes. So I'm on the wiki right now. Boruto. I guess primarily they've all been like four chapters each per volume. So if we were to take that into account,
I do think the first Boruto volume had also that Misutsuki origin story in it, but go on.
I was just gonna say that, like, if we're to take that into account, then that means because that would make it maybe 3 volumes a year. So
okay.
Let's see here. If we're at 12 right now,
Oh my god.
about 6 years, maybe.
This is a Kasuyu's pace. Told ya. 5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So we'll probably have to wait until
we have. So go on.
So if they go with that plan, we'll have to wait until at least by 2026 before the manga ends. But who knows? But of course, we have to see if the series doesn't get cancelled anytime soon. But hey,
I have my doubts it's going to, but we'll see.
Yeah, Shonen Jump seems to be very stubborn and Studio Pierrot seem to be very stubborn of keeping this franchise alive. Partly because I think it's the only anime partly because it's the anime is at least keeping the Studio Pierrot busy, keeping going with its profits, as I don't think Black Clover, while successful enough to keep going, I don't think it's ever reached the heights that the Naruto anime or the Bleach anime did. Given the fact that those two have had movies and it hasn't yet.
Well, it's like I said, like Naruto is also a legacy title too, so I think that's the other thing that's like keeping it afloat is just because it's a part of something. Because if Boruto was its own thing, I highly doubt that it would go on for as long as it's doing right now.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. So yeah. Anyway, what about you, Full Life? You have any thoughts, or are you still a bit? Hello.
Well, maybe his internet dropped.
Fair enough. Maybe he's just busy. Anyway, let's see. I suppose this sort of leads us to the next thing, because we discussed whether or not the series should get cancelled or just get reboots. Now, I asked Retrospective Greg, and he does think that at some point they're going to have to come clean of what happened and then possibly try and do a reboot to try and salvage the thing. I'm just wondering if you think there's any possibility of like a reboot or even a remake of some sort as to what happened with Naruto.
There's two sides to this. So, and I know I've heard about it from you for a long time. It's they reboot it, they make Narusaku Sasukarin canon. That's fine and all, but you know what needs to be there for me personally. Like ships are cool, but the story itself needs improvement.
Yeah,
thing.
Totally. I mean, address the main themes. You know, okay, the ships are part of the Bonds theme, but address the other things like the Shinobi system, the
Uzumakis.
The Uzumaki. Especially the Uzumaki. They're the clan of your MC, and you just didn't think about it.
I do think due to the fact that Kishimoto went back and forth and not fully deciding whether or not Naruto would be Minato's son or not. I think this is one of the reasons why we had.
Okay, but at the point you decided, go on with it. I mean,
yeah.
And wait a minute, because I have to say one more thing, and then about Sakura. I mean, she clearly needs, a more respectful approach given her MC status, because what they did to her, it was unacceptable. Plus, to explore some things, because Kishi definitely had some thoughts of going with her. I mean, I'm building my own fanfic around the idea, but I'm not Kishimoto. I don't know what he intended. But it would be nice to see what he truly did intend for her, because those parallels with Sakura's characteristics and her interest in the Hashirama techniques and stuff like that, it would have been interesting to see, because initially you have her not being able to do those things because she doesn't have, a bloodline limit. But then again, the irony, as I predicted and theorized, she has water and wood, and earth, which are the prerequisite for wood. And you don't give Sakura that, but you give to a character that we had little interaction with, that Moegi girl. I mean, really?
Yes.
What's that crap?
I think some would regard her as the Sakura of, Team Kamahamaru. But whether or not that's true or not.
As I was saying, I don't want the XR. I want the X.
Yes, I want that too.
Thank you.
I mean, does wonder if Sakura would have found some alternative way of using the Earth style. That maybe, who knows? Because I figured that might have been her way how she does her giant glitzy kaiju-like power thing. But who knows?
And the girl needs Sagi mode. I'm sorry, but she really does need Sagi mode, because she would be so cool. I mean, I found the thing is, I'm doing so much research for my own fanfic, and I found so much symbolism and so many things, and I'm like, Kishimoto, god damn it, you missed so many chances. I'm like, why? Anyway, I'm gonna calm down now.
Okay, fair enough. I'm just trying to think what I was going to say. What was I going to say? Ooh, boy. Let's see. Oh, yeah. What was I going to say? So, yeah. Clearly, that there would be a lot of things that they would definitely need to address. One thing I definitely kick out if there was a reboot is the alien Otsutsuki stuff. Though, granted, maybe if they're going to have the Otsutsuki, have them either as like demigod-like beings or some sort of, or maybe
okay, leave them gods, not aliens, because you started with the spiritual thing. So leave them gods. These ones kind of look like a mix of fallen gods with alien whatever. They're not either. They just I swear Boruto doesn't make any sense.
Apparently the parasites from where the scientist guy is explaining.
Oh yeah, and suddenly and the Jubi thing. I mean, you build it for a whole long ass story, 15 years, to be this tree that, it's from Earth, because that's why Kaguya came, and then you decide, oh, let's have it a seed, a Jubi seed. Though Jubi was supposed to be a Jinchuriki, was supposed to be the
weird. I'm not gonna lie. Like I remember, I was like, hold on, wait. It's like, let me get this straight. You have the tail beasts, which have personality; they can talk and whatnot, and yet you have the 10 tails or Jubi, and it's like, oh yeah, it can't talk. It's just a tree. I'm like, what?
Well, it's like a brain damage thing. What? That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
My idea was, and this is, I'm gonna spoil a bit, what I'm planning on my story, and that's what I think they want to do before the writers of Boruto took over. Basically, they built it as the Jubi was the spirit of the tree, So kind of like Kaguya merged with it. so it can access the powers and everything. But then, because that's how basically, what's his name, Hagoromo, is able to then to split all of them in spirits with tails from 1 to 9, but they're spirits. Suddenly, here comes Boruto, and we have this, how can I call it? This mindless seed. Because to hell with previous logic. And I'm like, what?
Now, I wouldn't any object to maybe more powerful spiritual, like demonic beings, like the Ten Tails existing in the world of Naruto, because from what I can tell, this is just one continent that we've explored it. So you could have always been like, oh wait, there are other
I
simpler
have a whole lore for that.
beings like it, and you could have gone like, okay, you've had all these all these beings that have been not paying attention because of this, because there's a lack of, the Ten Tails about. But after the war, they could finally notice, and they start coming to the continent to try and either conquer it or do some other evil plot thing. But hey, they went with the alien thing. I don't know, probably maybe inspired a bit by Dragon Ball Z. I don't know. I mean, that manga tends to affect nearly every shonen manga, for better or for worse. But hey.
I get being inspired because, sorry to interrupt, Takichi. I mean, I'm kind of, not gonna lie, I'm also building 2 original stories, and one of them looks a lot in some respects like Naruto, because I won't lie, Naruto inspired me. And the irony of the fate was that some social issues happen here in Romania were kind of like similar to what happened in Kishimoto's own hometown. I don't know if you guys remember that thing where he talked about orphan kids and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Well, I'm kind of course, in my story, they aren't orphan. It's another social issue that Romania handles, but it's very similar in the sense that kids without parents. So, I can totally get the inspiration by another series, because as I'm saying, Naruto did inspire me, but Jesus God, up to a point, And I don't think it was the best idea to go, but oh well, that's me. Sorry, Lucky G, go.
Actually, no, you kind of stated like most stuff that I wanted to say, but kind of, and this is just kind of going off from the ideas that I have for my own next generation story with my own Narasaka child. But what I'm doing for mine is that I'm like completely redoing the whole Otsutsuki background to where they're not aliens per se, but they're like, like they're humans at first. And it's kind of like with what Madara first mentioned, how like Kage was the human, she found the fruit, she bared the fruit, and then she became like one of the first shinobis, right?
Yeah.
First chakra or something.
Yeah, but
not to mention. Sorry about that. Because now that you mentioned Kaguya, I kind of got reminded of something else. I don't know if you guys remember, with Shinachiku, when Kishi first said that this is the name he'd pick for a Naruto child.
Mm-hmm.
So Shinachiku means bamboo, something, but it's something with bamboo. So then it's not, for example, I feel like they literally took everything that was supposed to be for Narasaku and handed to Narahina. This thing with Otsutsuki as well, because from what I read, Otsutsuki also means bamboo something.
Yeah.
Just that it's for Narahina, not to mention the rebirth techniques and something like that. That would definitely be more in character for something related to Sakura than something related to Hinata. What did Hinata ever had to do with medical stuff and Tensei ninjutsu and stuff like that? I mean, really?
The only real thing I can think of that made Yutsuki connected to the Hyugas was that they just got Byakugan as their standard eyes. Besides, maybe also having guns either in their as their third eye or in their hands. But yeah, it's like that was just like their way of justifying. Ooh, let's have to make another Hana Kid happen. Let's see. They must have enemies with a Byakugan, and only they can counter with. But hey.
I mean, to be fair, I know Kishi did kind of establish that early on that like the Byakugan could rival the Sharingan. So,
on one hand, yes, but due to the fact that let's see, but I've said that there's probably side characters really. But I think once it became clear that the Chiyas had a second stage to their Sharingan, that was not going to be the case.
but
Yeah.
but it's like I told you, like I think that falls on Kishi because he's the one that brought that up.
It might have just been a way to try and hype up the Hyugas for Naruto's upcoming fight with Neji. But yeah. Well, that's I suppose what happens when you do short-term hyping up. But hey. Anyway, I'm still seeing if 4Life will come back or not. Because there's something I want to tell him before ending the stream, but he's still not there.
There's just to go back to my point with the idea that I have. One of the I also was gonna have to where Kage kind of got help in my background, and it ties back to Hidan with Joshin.
Yes, I know what you mean. Because Jashin is his actual what do you call it, translation. Because at some point, as you know, we work on Shinachiku Kosen, and me being obsessed with gods and stuff like that. Of course, I brought up Jashin, and I actually read that his translation is God of Destruction. So that's why I say Naruto was very spiritual in its lore, not mechanical and technological. No. I really, sorry, I just can't stand this aspect of the new series.
I mean, I could have seen that happening, like say, like hundreds of years down the road, but like just 10 years, I'm like, that's way too soon.
Yeah, I mean, how? Because there's no explanation.
There wasn't.
See, I would expect the technology that has happened in, let's see, in Boruto to be something that would be more of like Naruto's grandkids or great-grandkids.
I think grandkids, not necessarily grandkids, but grandkids would have been okay. Because, for example, if I'm thinking in terms of technological advancement in the real world,
I was thinking like going from Avatar to Legend of Korra. Like you could do it something like that.
Yeah. Granted, I do think by the fourth season they went a bit too far with the mechas, particularly the giant one, but that's just me. I mean, I know people are divided on whether or not Korosami is like a well-developed ship or not, or just a last-in tie-in just to get some brownie points. But for me, the thing that made me really disappointed in the ending was the giant mecha as the final opponent thing. I was hoping for a massive army battle, but I got as a giant mecha, and it kind of killed my suspense of disbelief.
You know, I know that it's kind of, not so well received, but it might be still in lore and thematic at some point. Hear me out. Why?
Okay, yeah, sure.
There's this in between Avatar and Korra. There's this thing where they show the developments, how they start to happen and everything. And at some point, they show how industrialization kind of puts a toll on nature itself. So the idea is kind of like technology versus nature kind of thing, So you could say that the mecha stuff in Avatar could work because it's you know, it's this new developed world with technology and everything versus this old world with spirits and organic stuff and whatever. What happens when these two worlds clash? So that's what I think they were going with, sorry.
You get a movie like Avatar. Joking.
Wait, what?
You get a movie like Avatar.
Ironically, well, yeah, that also happens. It's kind of like the same thematic.
But yeah, but I was kind of making a joke there. But hey, I'm still wondering how long 4 Life is going to take. I don't know whether or not to wrap this up now.
We might have to.
Yeah,
It
it seems
come
like
back.
that. It seems like 4 Life isn't coming back anytime soon. So anyway, and it's become 3 hours and 24 minutes, and I have to admit, this stream has lasted much longer than I have, and maybe even discussed some things, let's see, more related to Naruto outside of what I wanted to discuss, but hey, what happens when you have like 4 guests? Well, 4 guests. But hey, it's been fun chatting with you all.
It has.
Yeah.
Despite me being a bit late, but
Yeah. Well, you were still more early than 4 Life, but hey.
true.
Anyway, chat.
Oh, yeah.
Lucky Chief Sparda, if you're listening, or if you finally get it back, or if he just comes back last minute, I'm gonna lose it. But hey, and also Retrospective Greg, who was on here earlier. It's been lovely to have you all. I hope to see you again. I do have a few streams I want to do in the future. I still want to do that Kazekage Rescue Arc one, but I need to finish those remaining anime episodes for that first.
Mm-hmm.
So other than that, let's see, who knows? Whether or not we'll do another Boruto chapter discussion, I think it really depends on what happens in the following chapters, because I think I've made it clear that I only really pay attention if we actually see if Naruto actually dies, something major happens to Sakura, or if, maybe something more with characters like Kaijin with that Jiraiya clone stuff. Because I'm still wondering whether or not what's going to happen with him. Let's see, part of me is wondering if Kishimoto is going to make him like Boruto's new master, and it's like, okay, you're really copying what you did in part 1 and part 2. But hey, but at the moment, so yeah, there's all that stuff. Anyway, let's see. Might as well say our goodbyes to the audience.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening to us. Hope you enjoyed.
Yes, same here.
I'm Blue Star Saber, and I'm signing us off.
Like you said, I'm signing out.
Chat out.
Blue Star Saber out.